All right, so it's there.
Let's see. I got the YouTube up. Let's see if it's working.
Mine is spinning right now. It says I have a good stream strength.
Well, Robert, at your age, that's always a good thing.
There we go.
Mine is spinning right now.
All right, we're showing.
Yep. It says I have a good stream. I'm hearing myself talk. Strength.
Well, Robert, at your age, that's always a good thing.
There we go.
Mine is spinning right now.
Mute, make sure you mute your
stream. I'm hearing myself talk. Strength.
Well, Robert, at your age, that's always. Oh no, we've broken the timeline.
Mute,
stream. I'm hearing myself strength.
what is going on?
Oh no, we've broken the timeline.
Everybody's got it closed. Did we just destroy everything right there?
Yeah, we broke the timeline.
It's all over the place.
All right. So we're live. We have 5 viewers. We'll get started in a second. I wanted to make sure that worked, though. While we're here, I think, Tim, do you want to talk about TNT to these 5 people who are here?
Sure. So TNT is a wrestling-themed event. It's going to be held in Nashville. I got to look up the date. That's usually Todd's prerogative. But this year, the new addition is going to be challenges, but you can only challenge someone you played the year prior. So hopefully that'll build up some competition from year to year to year, some rivalries. We are bringing the manager model back. So every army, it's $21.50. You'll have a free manager model to go in your army, and it'll have rules. It'll have different rules each round that you can choose or play with. Whereas last year it just had one set of rules.
It was a pretty big turnout last year, right?
Yeah, we were just under 50. Was that right, Robert?
Yeah, I think it ended up being like 44 once you factored in drops, if I remember correctly.
So yeah, hopefully this year we'll top out over 50 and really get it going. But there's other games going on. There'll be 30K, 40K, and War Machine right now. And then a Battletech tournament on Friday night, which is always fun.
When did you have the dates for that again?
Oh, yeah. That's what I was looking at. I forgot what I was doing.
We got, so Rob, you remember our buddy Steve, right?
Yeah.
He's like, if he can make it to any tournament ever, it's TNT. He's so excited by the idea of winning a belt. That's all he wants. He's like, I just want to come home and show my kids the belt. That's all I want.
I have a belt from the next to last Warhammer one, and it's my favorite thing that I have as far as prizes.
Genius.
Yeah. That was the first year they actually had really nice belts.
Yeah, I got the first nice belt.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear they have been improving over the years, right?
They have. Keith got the first belt, but it was more of a, I mean, it was
waist,
yeah, it was
small.
Waist belt.
You can't even wear it now. It's like a cummerbund.
Sounds hot.
Yeah, I can't find the dates. I'm a horrible TO. What can I say?
Yeah, man, come on. See, I'll search it for you. Let's see.
To be fair, I'm locked in one of Robert's dungeonous rooms on my phone.
It's a little creepy.
Oh, you can't get any signal down there in the dungeon?
Yeah, it's crap.
Sorry.
But we are giving away a prize at Siege to anyone. It'll be a raffle, but anyone who's pre-registered and paid by the end of Siege, their name will go in, and we're giving out a early bird belt and some raffle tickets.
May 18th, 19th, and 20th. You're welcome.
There you go. Boom.
Okay,
I mean,
cool.
you have internet on the computer that's right in front of you, right?
I don't want to mess with it. I already sent some of your students emails telling them they were failing.
That's good. That's good. All right. So it's 10 till. We got a few more viewers now. We'll wait till we just wanted to get it started so we could make sure it works. And it looks like it is working okay. the next event, let's see, in the southeast would be Blue City Brawl. There's still, at one point, it was full. It's April, it's mid-April. It's a team.
Same weekend as Vanguard. It's April 6th through 8th.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's a team event, 1,500 per side. I didn't go last year. Tim went last year. What did you think, Tim?
It was really fun. It's a nice area. There's a lot to do after the event. It was definitely not a competitive environment.
Yeah.
It definitely was more people there just for fun and play.
And that's fine too. I mean, it's good to have events like that also. We'll hold off talking about Vanguard till closer to time.
But it's run by Rob, and he loves his narrative and fluff and stuff, so that plays a lot into it.
Yeah, I heard them talking about it on one of the counter charge where he's working it up to people having to do like stage plays and acting out their
yeah, that's what my partner last year. He Will goes to school for acting or play for theater. So he read our little script out and we took home a prize for it.
Best kind of prize.
Didn't involve a single dice roll.
There you go. Yeah, that one sounds cool. May. So is there anything? Are there any competing events for that month in May? I can't think of anything else going on that month.
I don't know of anything in the Southeast or Mid-Atlantic. I don't.
Yeah, I might have to make that this year.
Yeah, that'd be good fun.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
For TNT?
Yeah, sorry, I'm backtracking TNT. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's gonna be great. I'm working on another ring. Last year we had a ring that people could play games in.
Yeah, is the ring coming back this year?
We're definitely gonna have one ring. We're gonna hope to have two. It depends on how space goes. But most likely this year we'll have it be a cage match.
Oh, so you're gonna have a ring and a cage?
Yep, hopefully.
And how are you going to decide who's in the ring and the cage?
Last year it was just kind of up to Todd's discretion. This year, if we have both, we'll probably do a specific table. Will always be in there. So maybe if you're on like the third or fourth table, you always get in, or the first table. But generally, it's just who dresses up for the theme, who's embracing the theme. Maybe the armies are a good matchup for a ring, or two people who just you want to see play a game in a ring. So like Devlin and Seth played in there, last year because they were all dressed up.
You should put polls on Facebook to let people vote on the. Well, that's probably too many matchups. And then people could choose which one
they want to see.
They want to see.
That'd probably be fun during the first round matchups.
Yep. They did that at the Masters.
Video.
The second Masters, I guess, they had a big internet poll when they were live streaming one of the games. Which matchup did people most want to see on the live stream?
Yeah, I would like to get more live streams in, but that's difficult.
Yeah, that was at Atomic Empire, and they do a lot of Magic tournaments.
Yeah,
they have a room just to live stream stuff. And that it's hard to do just in a convention hall or a game store or something to get a decent stream up.
Yep.
All right. We lost Mike. You said something to make him mad with him before we even started. So that's a new record.
I won.
Congratulations.
Matt Prince says he's still watching Jeopardy. He'll join us at 8.
Well, priorities, man. Priorities.
Yeah, he's mad we started early.
Well, we've not really started. We're just here shooting the. Is this a PG show? I'm not sure I can say shit on a PG show.
I mean, I'll probably be saying shit at some point. Although I'm sitting around your wife's craft, so I feel like I should be nicer.
Yes, be nice to the crafts.
Kind of like this
too. All right, let's see. 4 more minutes here. Mike's not back. going to get him to talk about Vanguard. But wait a minute.
Well, he's coming back. I'm going to go to the bathroom again.
Oh, almost left you alone for a minute.
Yeah, he saw you coming and got back. You ready? You want to talk a little bit about Vanguard now?
Yeah. So, as I was getting to, and that is going to be awesome. So Mike's 3D printing his own terrain for the entire thing. He's already got some stuff that's built, but he's 3D printing. Walls, buildings, trees, the works. He's 3D printing turn counters. I believe I don't know if they're swag or what, but they're turn counters that he's 3D printing, and it's freaking awesome. As I was mentioning earlier, he's got, so he's kind of weary of saying it's at his house because he doesn't want people to think, oh, it's just going to be crammed in a basement. But it's a mansion. It's an estate. We'll call it an estate. That's a better way of saying. He's got 5 acres, all in the woods. He's got like a 10,000, 11,000 square foot house. And we had only 6 tables in there, and we were in like a corner of the basement. There's another part of that we could duplicate. There's another room we can duplicate. And if we went even further, he could probably get 25 tables in there. And on top of that, he's doing a beer tasting thing Saturday night, tons of board games. He's got, I don't even know how many bedrooms there, but he's renting out the bedrooms of his house, including the au pair suite. Do you have an au pair suite at your house?
I don't even know what that is, so that's where I'm at.
Well, above his 6-car garage is like a living area for like an au pair, because who doesn't have an au pair to go with that?
Right, I got you now.
So the place is freaking incredible. It's early April, so I don't know that it'll be warm enough for the pool, but he's got the pool going on. When we were over there just last weekend, in terms of hosting, they, like him and his partner Robin, who's freaking awesome, they know how to host. It's like they're serving dinner, I believe, on Saturday night. There's tons of stuff to do, like the ghost Tim over here. It's just going to be fantastic. I can't say enough about how excited I am for it. So I'm hoping we can get some of the guys from the Southeast to come up. Kind of sucks it falls on the same week as Blue City Brawl, but anything we can get is going to be awesome. So looking forward to it.
Move that one weekend.
What's that?
It's too late to move it one weekend.
I'm not sure. I'll talk to him and see. I guess the problem is, if you move it one weekend, how many people are able to run Blue City one week and then the following week and make it out to Fredericksburg, Virginia?
And a lot of people at Blue City are farther out west. So that's a long haul for them anyway.
Yeah.
It sounds like, these are 2 events that really just sound like they've got a different feel than everything else, and I think they both could become destination events moving forward. So I'm excited to see what happens at Vanguard.
It's the way I see it, it's very like Lady of the Lake-esque. It's got that same kind of feel. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be about beer, friends, hanging out, gaming, and it's one thing to hang out after hours at a hotel, but to be able to hang out like at the spot, and it's just sweet. It's going to be freaking amazing. So I'm really looking forward to it.
All right. It is 8 o'clock, so we will begin. Welcome to the 2018 Siege of Augusta list review. I've got 2 experts with me here because I'm not an expert. So I have Mike Austin from the Mid-Atlantic, Tim Smith from the Southeast, both members of the master teams from their respective regions. So I'm sure we'll get some good insight and some good picks. I'm keeping track. I'll make some picks too. I'm sure I will finish last in the picking game, but we'll see who has bragging rights at the end of this. And I don't know if any wagers have been made, but we can track that later. So we're going to begin with table 1. What will happen is I'll read a list. Tim and Mike have already done their extensive research, but I'll read the list, and then I'll pitch it over to one or the other to talk about the list and what they see, and then we'll make our picks and we'll go from there. So table 1.
Sorry, dogs.
You let those dogs out. That is a perfect way to start. Table 1. That was perfect timing. I don't know. All right. So table
Been here
one,
an hour, not a bark out of any of them.
the main event is for the first round will be David Lundy versus Tim Smith himself. I'll begin by reading Dave's army. He is a dwarf player. He just finished very highly at the Forge GT. He is running two troops of ironclads, two troops of rangers, two hordes of earth elementals, one with the diadem of dragonkind, one with the flying hammer, two regiments of Brock riders, one with elvenkind and one with strength, two flame belchers, an army standard bearer with the lute of darkness, a berserker lord with the blade of the beast slayer. He's mounted, of course. Two stone priests. One has Bane of the Griffin, and one has our new spell Martyr's Prayer. And then we have the Kragoth. Mike, I'll let you talk about David's list a little bit.
So, the only concern I have is two stone priests for, was it just two hordes of elementals? That's an expensive tax on there. I do love that they're bringing the Martyr's Prayer. I think that's a spell that really should see some coverage. And Kragoth is going to be interesting. I haven't seen anybody actually run it, so I don't know how effective that'll be, but I like the idea of it. The rest of it's pretty standard, I guess. Troops of Ironclad, I guess, is a little different. It's a pretty decent chaff unit, but they're slow, so I'm not sure how effective that'll be. Rangers, obviously, are standard. Brock's standard. Flame Belchers will be nice once you get in close, but overall pretty standard. It's just I'm wondering if that second Stone Priest could have been a little could have been more effective somewhere else.
What do you think of the new Martyr's Prayer spell?
Alex Chavez has been running it. He's had kind of mixed feelings about it. I think we have established it to be effective. It's priced a little higher than if it was 20 points, auto include. 25, it's like a little tricky to say it's going to be reliable. You have those matchups where you don't go against any shooting, and early on you do nothing with it, and then late game you'd much rather be Bane chanting. So I don't know that it's going to be auto include for anybody, but overall I think it's pretty effective. I mean, you take wounds in your caster, but it's not that hard to keep him hidden behind elementals, right?
That's right in this list. All right, we're going to break style and let Tim read his own list.
This technology hates me. All right, so it's 5 troops of Wraiths, 1 with Mace of Crushing, 1 with Blade of Slashing, 2 hordes of Werewolves, 1 with Brew of Strength, Dwarven Ale, Soul Reaver Cavalry with Potion of the Caterpillar, a Mounted Vampire Lord, Boots of the 7 Leagues, a Lich King mounted with Bane Chant 3, Lightning Bolt 5, Blessing of the Gods, and a Mounted Necromancer with Lightning Bolt, Soul Drain, and Boots of Levitation.
All right, so there's the list. All right, let's get some picks here. So we've got Herd. We got Undead. Sorry, Tim. Undead versus dwarves. Mike, who do you like?
I already forget Tim's army. It's too. I can't see it all here. So, 5 troops of Wraith, huh? Yeah, I think that the dwarf army is going to struggle a little bit against that kind of speed. I mean, you outspeed them on literally everything, and speed is king. So, Tim, I'm taking your side on this one.
That's good. I thought I was going to be the only one.
All right, Tim, let's see what you think is going to happen in your game.
So, I picked myself. Obviously, I'm not going to pick anything less. I've got the characters to get out. I think it's going to, my notes on this game mission were, it's going to come down to a key surge but which one of us is going to get that key surge? Is he going to get Krorgath or one of his rock hordes into something, or am I going to get Race into one of his units?
Yeah, and I think you have the speed with your casters to get around and do it. Stone Priests are slow. I mean, they're slow. The Elementals are slow. And the right circumstances.
And the Vampire's going to be hunting them.
Yeah, and it's just the speed's going to be big. And it's harder to get around on a flank with a greater elemental compared to a troop of Race that are speed 10 nimble, and you have so many of them. It's going to be hard to watch out for that. The Flame Belchers might come into play though. I think that's the big variable factor. See what those do.
Right. So I'm actually going to, my notes say that I'm going to pick David here. I actually think that defense 6 is going to give Tim a little bit of a hard time. Crushing strength, the biggest thing he has. I think he'll play his Rock Riders wisely and keep them far enough back that Tim can keep the speed on them. But I guess we'll have to see there. So we've got 2 for Tim and 1 for David. We'll make that down. We'll go to the next table. Table 2 is the battle of the podcast. Rob Fanuff is not coming, but he sends his proxy Devlin to battle Jake. So here we go. And Mike, of course, will talk about Jake's list in just a moment. But Jake is using 2 troops of ghouls, starting to see those more, 2 troops of wraiths, a regiment of mummies with the Brew of Courage, a legion of zombies with undead rats and the Hammer of Measured Force, a unit of wights with the Brew of Sharpness, Soul Reaver Cavalry Regiment with Potion of Caterpillar, a Revenant King with the Veil of Shadows. He's on his Winged Worm. The Lich King with Heal and the Banner of the Griffin. Another Lich King with Bane Chant, Heal, and the Fireheart Amulet. And Lycanus in all his glory. Mike, what do you think of Jake's list?
All right. So one thing I do want to mention you missed, I think, was the Brew of Haste on the Undead Worm. I don't know if you did mention that.
He told me that was Veil of Shadows instead, I think. That might be Brew of Haste and something else with Veil of Shadows.
Maybe he has both, because he's 20 points short here too. So not really sure. But Veil of Shadows, I'm really interested in. I haven't seen anybody run that yet. I'm excited about it. Jake obviously is a good player for anybody that doesn't know him. He's our Masters rep. Pretty standard army to what he's run in the past. Zombies with Hammer is just always awesome. Whites with Brewer Sharpness. I think Jake might have been one of the earlier campaigners of that run, and a lot of people are copying that, which is terrifying when he's running. The amount of surge that he has, surge 24, so he can catch people off guard with a 12-inch surge. So definitely nasty. I haven't seen him run the Lycanus before. I'm actually excited to see that. That's a good drop. It's a well-rounded army. I mean, Jake's good about running well-rounded armies. He knows how to use things for what their role is. So no matter who he's matched up against, I think Jake's always got a chance. There's no question about that.
All right, and here's the one Tim's going to tell us about. This is Devlin. Devlin is a Master Empire of Dust player. He has a horde of revenants with the Brew of Strength, 2 regiments of mummies, 3 regiments of scavengers, 2 regiments of archer cavalry, one of which has the Brew of Keen Eyes, getting to see that item on a regiment, and the other with the Heart-Sinking Chant. He has 2 regiments of chariots and a horde of chariots with a wine of elven kind. He has 2 pharaohs on chariots, one of which has the onyx ring and the other has the banner of griffin. And he has a cursed high priest with the grimoire of unspeakable darkness. Tim, you ever played Devlin's Empire of Dust list?
I have. I've played a lot of different variations of his list. This is one of his newer ones. He really likes the mounted archers. My concern with the list is he knows how to play it. He knows what to do with it. But this list in particular is lacking a little bit of punch in both shooting and combat. And I'm concerned that's going to be an issue for him. There's really nothing here that's a heavy hitter in either phase.
All right. So with that in mind, Tim, let you start this time. Who do you see coming out in this matchup?
I think Jake comes out in this one because you're basically going to have undead, but he's got the defense to weather through the shooting and then has the punch once he gets there.
All right. And Mike, what do you think?
I got to go with Jake, despite how much I like teasing my boy Jake for his pink pants, pink hair every once in a while. I really like a lot of things about this Empire Dust list. The Pharaohs on Royal Chariot are awesome. We've always been excited for those, and the fact that they have Nimble now is fantastic. But kind of like Tim was saying, I think it's lacking. It's lacking something. There's a lot of like decent units, but I don't see anything really good other than those Royal Chariot Pharaohs. So I got to take Jake in this one.
All right. I actually am going to go the other way again. Looks like I'm going to be the minority opinion for at least the first part of this. I like Devlin here. I think those chariots got the buff. I've seen Devlin using those chariots to great effect in previous lists. They've gotten a little bit better. He's got those carrion for chaff. He's got those archers for chaff. So I just think he has, in the particular scenario that we're playing in the first round, I think he has a lot of tools to allow him to get out there and claim those objectives. So yeah, I'm going to go with Devlin on this one.
And that's not fair. We don't know what the first scenario is like you do.
Oh, it's in the pack.
It's in order. I don't read packs. Come on.
There we go. A man after my own heart.
It's what is it? Pillage?
Yeah, it's pillage.
All right, I'll start taking that into account maybe.
Something about Devlin's list. Last thing is, he normally runs the cursed caskets on his units a lot, and for not to have those, I thought was interesting.
Yeah, he's
going to alter how he plays it.
He makes some nice effect, those caskets. I hate to see those are gone. All right. Let's go to table 3. This is another grudge match. These are two of the top painters in the Southeast region who are going to give us a show table with lots of well-painted miniatures. So that'll be exciting. It's Austin Kerrigan and Billy Smith, Capgun, whichever he prefers to go for on the internet. So we'll let Mike talk about Austin, and we'll let Tim talk about Billy. But Austin is running a Night Stalker Abyssal list, so his Abyssal allies are gargoyles and a gargoyle troop and a tortured soul horde. His Night Stalker list, the only Night Stalker in the tournament, 2 regiments of specters, 3 hordes of butchers. It's interesting. One of which has the banner of Griffin, a planner apparition, and 1, 2, 3 void lurkers. One with slashing, one with brew of haste, and one with the onyx ring. So, Mike, what do you think about these Night Stalkers?
I love this army, honestly. I love the commitment, staying with the tortured souls and gargoyles, even though you can only get 1 troop. Night Stalkers are awesome. Butchers, I think, are somewhat underrated sometimes. They're fantastically tough. They dish out the damage. They're still fast enough with speed 6, even though they're shambling. Planar apparition obviously does work. And come on, 3 void lurkers. What's not to complain about? I like it. I mean, it's a pretty elite army. Obviously, we got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 drops at 2250. But he's got all the tools. He's got the speed. He's got the toughness. I really, really like this list. Honestly, he's got the right items on the void lurkers. It's fantastic.
So then we go to Billy, who's running Forces of Nature. And so he'll have a horde of Naiad and Snares with Courage, a little extra nerve there. A horde of Water Elementals with the Brew of Strength. 4 regiments of Forest Shamblers, a little vanguarding action. 2 regiments of Centaur Brace Striders. 1 Centaur Chief. He's got the bow and the banner of Griffin. A Druid with Bane Chant, a Stag, and some Surge. And a Winged Unicorn. And then 2 Beasts of Nature kitted out as normal with Lightning Bolt, Fly, and Vicious, and the extra attacks. So, Tim, how do you feel about the Forces of Nature here?
It's not the usual Lightning Bolt nature list you see. I like the Shamblers because that puts out a nice wall early. You get hard-hitting chaff across the board. The water elementals are an interesting choice. I guess just sticking with the regen within the theme. And something to know about Billy, more of this list probably has to do with what looks cool together than what's useful together. And that's always a positive for me. But yeah, it's just your basic good forces of nature, lightning bolt spam.
All right. And Tim, who do you think's winning this one?
I came down to who's going to be able to chaff the others' combat units better. And I think Austin's got a little bit better of a shot at doing that. He's also got faster combat units. And basically he's running a 3 dragon list with 3 void lurkers. That's going to be tough.
All right.
And he's a club mate. I've got to go with the club.
All right. Mike?
Yeah.
Going here.
With the stealthy affecting lightning bolt now, it's a little tough to say that the forces of nature lightning bolt will do a lot of work. But I think that the amount of units that Billy has, it's going to cause a problem. He definitely outdrops them. This one's close, but I think I'm going to go Billy on this one.
Right. I will go ahead and go with Austin as well. For me in that matchup, it's just the Void Lurkers, what they can bring to the game. I'm not sure. I mean, Billy does have Beasts, so maybe they square off. I just like the 3 Void Lurkers. I think that gives him a leg up. All right, so table 4, more grudge matches. This is South Georgia versus Florida. Chris Beers versus Cody Smith. I'll start by reading Cody's army and letting Mike talk about that. So Cody is our first goblin list. So he has 4 regiments of rabble. He has 4 regiments of spitters. He has 2 troll hordes, 4 maul beast packs, 3 fleabag riders, a flagget, a bigot on a mount, another bigot on a mount. It's got Magua. He's got the Magwans, and he's got 2 mincers. So not your everyday goblin list there.
So I saw these 2 post their lists on I think it was on the Siege of Augusta page, right?
Right, yeah. They did.
What a show, man. This is going to be the craziest fight ever. I would love to just watch this instead of playing my first round. This is, I mean, what's there to say? You got goblins on goblins on goblins. I do like it's a different build compared to most goblins. It's, you know, who cares about shooting, right? Let's just put all the things on the table and make you deal with it.
Exactly right.
I really wish, I'd really love to see this one in eliminate when the 3 eliminate targets are 3 regiments of fleabag riders at 145 points. So it's a cool list. I love that it brings something different to goblins. It's not just the, you know, breath weapon spam with the blood boil in there and all that stuff. So really cool. I appreciate it.
And I'll pitch in here just for fun that this is also a battle of TOs. Cody is the Crucible TO that takes place in Orlando in October. It's a great event, I hear, and it's what I'm going to try to make this year. But we have his opponent, Chris, who's the TO of the Jekyll Island, which was held last December in Jekyll Island, Georgia. He's running her now, and he has 2 troops of harpies, 4 hordes of lichens, 2, 4, 6 regiments of beast packs, 2 shamans, both on mounts, and a lichen alpha. Neither one of these guys really go for magic items. Is there a magic item in these lists? I don't think so.
Goblins don't have one. I know that.
Yep, and neither do the herd. So no magic item on this board. Tim, you're the resident herd expert. What do you think of what Chris has done here?
It's interesting. I've never seen anyone run regiments of beast packs or even think about running them. But I think he drew a good matchup round 1 for the list he built, because it's not a shooting goblin list, it's not a hard goblin list, So the punch that this list does bring is enough for the goblins. My thought would be, though, just take all those regiments and make them all troops and get even more units on the board.
just drown them in bodies. Who do you think is going to win?
Dogs.
Tim, who do you think is going to win?
I initially went with, when I was looking at it, with Cody, but this is a really good matchup for the herd because those regiments of beastbacks can actually kill units of goblins on charges. They can do enough wounds and get you to a decent roll. I might have to go with Chris now.
Oh, he's changed his mind after some more analysis. So he's going with Chris Beers. All right. Mike, what do you think?
Spam versus spam. Like, which spam wins, right? For the record, there is a Blade of Slashing 5-point item on Lycan Alpha on Beers' list. Over commitment to artifacts there, dude. Honestly, the way I see it, Cody might as well put down 2 hordes of trolls, and Chris puts down 4 hordes of Lycans and see who wins. So I'm gonna go with Chris.
Going with Chris as well. All right. It's going to be close. I think this is a close game, like you said. It could go either way. Lots of drops on a scenario that lots of drops help, so that nobody has the advantage there. I'm interested to see. I think Cody has a few more drops. The mincers are back there behind his line, I bet, to clean up things that punch through. So I'm going to go with Cody on this one. But we'll have to see how it goes. Like you said, that's going to be an interesting game to watch. Table 5. I'm not exactly sure where this grudge match came from, but it is a grudge match. I don't know the players well enough to know what their beef is, but it's Jacob.
It started as a best of salamanders was the original idea.
Salamander.
And Joey went and betrayed the whole environment and went with forces of nature. So
he snookered him into playing salamander. Pull the old switcheroo. It's interesting. All right.
A little bit dick move.
Yeah, a little bit there. So the Battle of the Salamanders that has 1 salamander and 1 force of nature, which I guess means that Data wins the Battle of the Salamanders automatically. But they've still got to play the game. Mr. Greek has forces of nature, as we've just said. He has a horde of Naiad Ensnares. He's chosen to put the Hammer of Measured Force on them. He has a horde of Salamanders with the Brew of Sharpness. He has 2 regiments of Earth Elementals, 2 regiments of Centaur Braze Striders. He has a Druid, one of which has the new Rally spell, and another Druid that the second one has the Blood Boil. I think he stacked those units on your sheet there so they count for the right amount of points. So the second one has the Blood Boil item. He has 2 Winged Unicorns with Lightning Bolts. He has a Forest Warden, and he has 2 Beasts of Nature kitted out as 1 kits out Beast of Nature. Mike, what do you think of this? This is a Mid-Atlantic list, I think. What do you think of this one?
Yeah. Joey's a guy I play with quite often. In his defense, he did make it to Masters with Salamanders through the whole year. So credit to him. So he's a good player that's been playing with a handicap, to say the least. So it's a good list. I actually played against him last weekend. It's scary. I mean, everybody knows about the lightning bolt spam from Forces of Nature. It's good. He's got defense 6 elementals to get in the way. The Naiad Ensnares get in the way. Salamanders get in the way. He's got. I mean, it's a pretty standard Forces of Nature to a certain degree, but Joey is a good player. He's a smart player. He catches people off guard a lot of times. He's a really smart guy that sees things that sometimes other people don't. He's also a great player in that sometimes he'll tell you when he sees things that other people don't if he's behind already. So really good guy to play against. Definitely a tough matchup. Anybody that goes against him is going to have a tough time, and I like this list a lot.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him go back to Salamanders though, just because. But this will do the job for now.
Yeah, I think that's an underrated point there. That sometimes the list people, I won't call them net lists necessarily, but lists that are fairly common. People get used to playing those. They start to learn their strategy against it. People who find things that are outside the box can oftentimes catch people out. So that's a good point. Now Jacob has the Salamander list. He has a horde of primes with the Brew of Strength. He has the warriors with in a horde with the Hammer of Measured Force. 2 regiments of Ember Sprites, so getting a little breath weapon in there. 2 regiments of Lancers, 1 with the Caterpillar and 1 with the Dwarven Ale. A horde of Ancients on Rhinosaurs with Brew of Haste. 3 Lachilodons, you really like that unit. A Clan Lord on a Raptor mount. A Herald with the Loot. A Clan Lord on Fire Drake with wings and the blessing of the god. And our Tackle, I suppose, is how one says that infantry hero's name. What do you think of this, Tim?
I like it. It's fast. He's got a lot of movement. He can get around on the sides, but then he's got a strong center. Those Ember Sprits, the Warriors, the Primes. You know, they provide a good little anvil there in the middle. I like it. It's a good, solid, just Salamanders list, but it's a more or less common one you see too.
All right. Who do you think's going to win?
This was one where I couldn't pick until I wanted to see what you guys thought. Jacob's going to have a little bit of an edge because he's got the higher unit strength, but 26 Lightning Bolt, that's going to do some work.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Jacob. I'm going to say Jacob, if he can get up there fast enough to negate that Lightning Bolt, he'll be fine.
All right. And so you said Jacob, you said?
Yep.
All right. And Mike?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to go with Joey here. I know Joey knows what he's doing. I mean, I don't know Jacob that well, or at all. Let's say that. List is fine. List is perfectly fine. I mean, Salamanders. Other than that, it's fine. I do like that he took our Tackle. I think that, or however it's pronounced, I think that's a cool unit choice. But I know what Joey can do. I know the army's good. Like I said, played against it 5 days ago or something like that. So definitely going Joey. He's a Mid-Atlantic guy and he's a good friend of mine. So going for Joey.
Go for Joey.
All right, let me talk to Jacob right quick. Jacob, you've already proven you're the better Salamander player because you're the only one that showed up with them.
That's not true. There are like
Now,
6.
don't let me down and lose this game. Back that up.
There you go. I'm going to go with Joey as well. The Salamander list is a fast list. I like the Lachilodons, I like the range stuff they can put out. I just feel like the ensnares and some of the other units that the Force of Nature bring to the table are a little better. So I'm going to go with Mr. Greek here as well. Then we get to the next grudge match, which is Nathan Clevenger and Tony Nelson. They've had a kind of a running series of games of each other, so I think they're trying to break the rubber match right here. One Mid-Atlantic, one Southeast player. I think both qualified for the Masters, although Tony's not going. But I think they're both Masters players, so this should be a really good game between some really good players. Let me start with Tony, the American hero from the Mid-Atlantic. He has Elvish allies for his ogres, a horde of Dracon Riders, a Dragon Breath, and a Dracon Rider Lord. I think that's new. I don't think I've seen a Dracon Rider Lord.
Yeah, he just cool model for it too.
He
Apparently
has
flying ogre.
2 regiments of warriors, a horde of warriors. So nice little bit of bodies there. He's got 1 horde of shooters with Blessing of the Gods. He's got 2 hordes of boomers, with one with Chant of Hate and 1 with Fire Oil. 3 army standard bearers, one of whom is carrying the loot. His new boomer sergeant with Inspiring Talisman. I guess he likes the upgrade it got in the Clash of Kings pack. And 2 Red Goblin bigots, both on flea bags, 1 with the diadem. Tony claims those are the best units in the list. Mike, what do you say about this ogre list?
I'll say is Tony better not let me down here in the Mid-Atlantic. It's pretty close to his army. He's run for a little while here. Like you were saying, the Draken Rider Lord, I know, is a new addition that he's been adding. His elf allies have served him well so far. I don't know why there's an Inspiring Talisman on the Boomer. He's already got 3 BSBs. That's the only thing I kind of question here. But I do love the Boomer Sergeants now with that Breath 8 from the recent additions. It's a bring all list. I mean, he's got double Boomers plus the Bigot with Breath plus the Boomer Sergeant now. So he's got some Breath Punch. He's got all the tools added from the allies. It's a well-rounded list, and Tony knows how to play it. I'll give Tony credit at Mountaineer last year. He came and stomped me and stomped Alex back to back, I think. So he knows what he's doing. So don't underestimate him, even though he's the king of sportsmanship. He knows how to play too.
He is at that, and that's another good point. You talk about lists, and sometimes just knowing your list can trump somebody who's just trying the new hot list that hasn't played it a whole lot. And Tony has really honed this list to a razor's edge. He's up against Nathan Clevenger, one of the Masters team from the Southeast. Nathan is continuing with his Empire of Dust, which he's run for a while now. 3 regiments of mummies, one of whom has the blade of slashing. 2 hordes of guardian archers, one with Blessing of God and one with Chant of Hate. A regiment of scavengers with the diadem of Dragonkind. 2 bone giants. 2 cursed high priest. They've got Fireball and Vicious Heal. One's got the Banner of Griffin. One's got the Fireheart item. And, of course, the 350-point unit itself, the Idol of Shobek. I bet you played this, Tim. What do you think of it?
I really like this list. It's a tough one. He normally takes 1 Guardian Archer and then 1 unit of Guardians. But I think he's trying to add that little more threat range, make people come into him. It's solid. He'll move it around the table. The Giants and that Idol, they'll catch you out. You just think, oh, I'll just avoid them or I'll go over here. And all of a sudden there's a Giant surging into the flank of you. They'll get you. It's a solid list. And he like Tony, has played it. He's honed it. He knows what he's doing. He's going to sit down at the table and go for it.
All right. And who do you think is going to win?
I think Tony is going to win this one. And I think he's going to win off the objectives. He's got more unit strength, 17 to 24. And he has the ability to sort of envelop Nathan, hold him at bay while he goes and holds on to all the objectives.
All right. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, Tony, I think he knows best is how to win scenarios. He really is. I absolutely love this Empire Dust list, though. When I went through it the first time, I couldn't believe it had all the things it had, so it's definitely a threatening army. But Tony is a region guy, good guy. I know him. I don't know Nate, so I'm going my boy Tony.
All right. I'm actually going to go. I actually think what will happen here is whoever goes first is going to win, because I think they're going to be able to get out on tokens. If Nathan gets out there, those Empire of Dust are really hard to shift once they're out. So I'm going to predict that Nathan wins the first die roll of the game and ends up winning that game. But as we know from the tournament history, that could go either way. All right. I think we may be at the last grudge match here at table 7. That is awesome. Brian Tucker versus Lynn Roy. This one, I believe, just they were talking and having an argument, and somebody said, hey, sounds like a grudge match. And I think it just became a grudge match. I don't actually think they know each other. I guess they're going to meet at this table. We have, let's see. Yeah, that's Mid-Atlantic versus Southeast. So I'm not sure that they have met before. I'll start with Tucker, and we'll let Tim talk about this one, because I bet he has experience with it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 troops of gargoyles. That's not. I didn't misspeak. That's 9 troops of gargoyle. Undeterred by the gargoyle nerf, Tucker doubles down. He's got 2 hordes of tortured souls, one with brew of strength. Nerf that, and one with pipes of terror. He's got a regiment of abyssal horsemen, so something does walk on the ground. They've got Caterpillar. He's got the Well of Souls. He's got his brand new, nicely painted Archfiend of the Abyss. It's got wings and the Brew of Courage, and he's got Basuzu. So Brian is basically saying, you nerf it, I'm taking it. So what do you think about this, Tim?
So I have played this list, or his original version of this list, twice, both times losing to it on the last turn, usually the last die roll. How this game is going to go is Brian's going to stand there in his little skirt and bitch the whole time. And then the last turn, last die roll, he's going to do something stupid, and it's going to win him the game. But in seriousness, his record with this list is like 12-4. So he knows exactly what to do to win with it. And I think he won an event or got really close to winning an event with this list. I mean, it's a solid list, and there's a reason all those units got nerfed.
I think he was second at Sword of Kings. So he's up against Ratkin. Lennon's taking Ratkin. He has a horde of tunnel slaves. He has a regiment of warriors. He has a horde of shock troops, a horde of blight with the Brew of Strength, a regiment of blight. He has 2 hordes of brutes, one of which has the blessing of the gods. He has a regiment of hackpaws with the potion of the caterpillar, 3 storm of lead weapon teams, and an enforcer that inspires, 2 warlocks, a swarm crier, and a flying demon spawn. Like those things. What you think of this one, Mike?
It's got a little bit of everything. It's kind of interesting. A little different from what you normally see. Blight Regiment and Blight Horde. It's a little different. I mean, I've seen Blight Hordes, but Blight Regiment's kind of new. Brutes, decent. Hackpaws, I guess trying to capitalize on the new the new stats, I guess. It's got a little bit of everything. Demon Spawn's always a threat.
Yeah, it is.
This looks like an army that in the right hands, somebody that's played it a lot could do well because it's got an answer to just about everything. But it seems to be a little vulnerable to some matchups and some misplays too, just because it's a little specialized.
So the big question then, Mike, is do you believe this is vulnerable to 9 troops of gargoyles? Who's going to win?
Yeah, those troops of gargoyles will be annoying. That's a tough one to decide, to be honest. I just don't know that. I don't know either of these players. Tucker, well, I know Brian Tucker's a good player. I don't know Lennon. So I personally, going just by the list, which is the only thing I really have to go on here, I think the Abyssals are going to go with this. So I got to go Tucker.
Yep. He is a member of the Southeast Master team this year and last year. I believe he was on the team last year. Matter of fact, I know he was. So 2-time Master player. Tim, what do you think?
My notes had Brian needs to be patient because he's got to worry about a few things: the breath and the lightning bolt. And if he can be patient and keep out of the breath, that's out of the game. And he can weather the lightning bolts because they're only going to be able to target 1, 2. And if you're going to waste your demon spawn lightning bolting gargoyles, I think that's a win for Brian. So I think it's just going to be, if he can be patient till the end and then fly in there on these objectives, he's going to steal 1 or 2 of them and then contest the rest. So I'm going with Brian.
You're going with Brian. I'm just going to say that's too much nerve for Brian to shift through with a bunch of gargoyles and a couple of tortured souls and monsters. So I'm gonna stick with the Ratkin there and let I go with Lennon to fight through the nerfed gargoyles. We'll find out if that happens. Yeah, Brian's already upset about all those nerfs. That could drive him over. But it could be a table flipped if the gargoyles don't.
We might have an opening on the team
that he expects them to. All right. So table 8. Now we're just into the random pairings, so no more grudge matches. This is, to me, a tough match to pick, the next one. So on table 8, you have Rocky Archer versus Paul Lester. Rocky is a Southeast Masters player this year. I'm 99% sure Paul was a Mid-Atlantic Masters player last year, although I could be wrong on that. And so we'll let Mike start by talking about Paul's list. Paul won. He won NashCon the first year, I believe. So he's won a Southeast event in the last little bit. He has a horde of revenants with a banner of Griffin. He has a regiment of wraiths with the brew of haste, a zombie regiment. He has a horde of werewolves with the brew of strength, a horde of wights with a brew of sharpness. Second time we've seen that unit. A regiment of soul cavalry with the caterpillar potion, 2 troops of revenant cavalry, a king on undead worm that flies and has the blade of slashing, a cursed pharaoh with the wings of the honey maze. Good to see him again. And the Mortibrus the necromancer to round that list out. What do you think, Mike?
So tying back into the fact that I don't read rules packs, apparently. Bringing Mortibrus is dirty. My list would have a problem with that. Kind of like the last match I was talking about. It's got a little bit of everything. It's got a good answer to everything. You got the speed out of the werewolves. You got the punching power out of the wights with sharpness. Revenants are fantastic always. Wraiths, I'd like to see a little bit more flying from the Wraiths in there. But with haste, that gives them a little extra notch on their belt of what they can do. Revenant King, Blaze Slashing, Classic. I mean, it's a well-rounded list. I mean, there's not much to say. Zombie regiments, I'm not a huge fan of zombie regiments. I really like committing to zombies as a legion with the wolves, with the hammer. I haven't seen regiments really be too effective, but otherwise, list is solid.
Yeah. All right, and he is up against, this is undead on undead. Rocky brings 4 troops of ghouls. Again, those are becoming very popular units for undead players. A horde of revenant, a regiment of wraiths, a troop of wraiths, a regiment of mummies with a mace of crushing, zombie trolls in a horde. He has the new Aegis item on those zombie trolls. A horde of werewolves with a brew of strength. A regiment of soul reaver cavalry with a brew of haste. A revenant king on undead worm that's flying and has the veil of shadows. And he has the and he also has soul drain on that unit. I'm sorry. An undead standard bearer with the loot, and a necromancer with bane chant and inspiring. So it's almost like he took all the units that Paul didn't take. He took those units. So you get one of everything in the undead list on the board. What do you think of Rocky's list? I don't know if it's a master preview or not, Tim, but what do you think of this list?
It's not the list he would want to take to the Masters, because we saw that list in our prep, but it's the list that he can take with the rules for the Masters. And I think it's a solid list. It's well-rounded. It's got good chaff units, good cheap units that can go hold that objective that you stick in a corner somewhere. It's got combat units, the solid defense, fast. It's a good standard undead list.
I almost think, for me, this is almost impossible to pick with the 2 players being evenly matched and the list being both very well-rounded. So I'm interested. I know you 2 did some in-depth research and called all your sources around the country. Tim, what did you come up with for the winner of this match?
I'm going to go with the home team. I'm going to go with Rocky. He's got Paul on unit strength by 4. He doesn't have as much surge, but I think that's not going to be too much of a factor. It's going to come down to him just being able to spread out a bit more to take more objectives.
Okay. And Mike?
Yeah, the number of drops is a big thing to me. Rocky's got more than Paul here. But, yeah, Robert, you said it right. It's really hard to guess at this one. They both are bringing the right tools for the trade. Yeah, really hard to say.
Go for the
I think
home
the
team. Let's
curse.
split this one.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think the Curse Pharaoh. Honestly, I think the Curse Pharaoh is the determining factor to me. I think that Curse Pharaoh, if played right by Paul, will make a big difference in the game. And Paul's local too. He's a Midland guy, so I'm gonna go with him. The other thing I'll say is Paul's one of the most fun, positive people to play against. So I'm going Paul.
Yeah, that'll be a fun game to watch. You know, I'm kind of torn. I'm with you. The Curse Fair is a nice addition. I feel like Mortimerus is a little bit wasted in this particular matchup, but Rocky's Soul Reavers are a little faster than Paul's Soul Reavers, so that could cause some problems on down the line. I just feel like Paul is probably the way to go here. So we'll see if that Curse Fair does as well as Mike and I are expecting it to. Table 9 sees two Southeast players who have played in multiple events over the years. The first is the two-time Southeast Region champion, Sean Williams, and the second one is Chris Essex. So we'll put those two up. I'll let you talk about Chris, Mike, and I'll let Tim talk about Sean. So Sean brings his undeads. This will be 3 undead lists in a row. He has 2 hordes of revenants, one with the brew of strength. He has a regiment of wraiths, a regiment of mummies, a horde of wights, 2 regiments of revenant cavalry, a vampire lord on a horse with a blade of slashing, a vampire on an undead dragon with a dwarven ale, and he has Morgoth the Faceless. And then we have Chris, who brings a goblin. I'm sorry, let me step back. I got ahead of myself there. Mike, what do you think of Sean's list?
I thought I was going to get to talk about Chris's list.
Let me pull back. Tim?
Yeah, give this one to Tim. I want Chris. I want to talk about Chris's list. I really want to talk about that one.
Tim, let's see.
Great, because I don't really want to talk about Sean's list.
Because you have played Sean many times, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Very similar to the list he had at the last round top table against Zorro last year at the Masters.
Yeah, that's pretty much all you need to say. He's the top player in the Southeast. This is the list he brings to every event. He's at the top every time. Yep, that's Sean Williams for everybody.
I like that in-depth, hard-hitting analysis that you provided there. Thank you, Tim. All right.
You might be able to guess who I'm going to pick already.
So, goblins. He's got some goblin allies. He's got a horde of trolls. He's got a warp trombone and a giant. And he brings that, he pairs that with the ogres. He has 2 hordes of siege breakers with the brew of courage. He has 2 regiment of hunters with fire oil. He has 2 troops of red goblin scouts. He has 2 army standards with a banner of griffin, a red goblin blaster, and 1, 2, 3 more giants to be paired with his ogre giant to make 4 giants. Mike, what do you think?
All right, so when I looked at this list, I looked at the allies. I was like, why are you taking a giant as an ally when you're playing ogres?
And you found out.
And then I was like, but maybe scroll down. Yeah, no, the guy's got 4 giants in his list. That's awesome. Very cool army. I respect it as an army. I think it's fun. He's got the hunters, which a lot of people don't take. I think is cool. He's got the red goblin blaster, which as much flack as it gets, he's taking it, and kudos to him. I just think it's a fun list. Honestly, it's bringing something different, bringing something new. It's a lot of fun. 4 giants is it's just fucking hilarious. I love it. So.
All right. So the bigger question then is, who do you think is going to win?
I mean, I don't care. I'm picking Essex anyways. I mean, Tim's already. I know. Shake your head. I'm willing to give in on this one just because. I'm willing to give in on this one just because I love the list and he's bringing something new. I'm gonna give him some credit and give him a chance. So it's Sean. I mean, I know Sean's a great player, like the best of the best, but yeah, I'm giving him a shot.
All right, let's hear what you've got, Tim.
Sean is not the best player or the best of the best. Let's be clear about this. Sean has a way of on turn 6 looking down at the table and saying, "Oh, I moved this guy 3 inches. I just won the game." That's how Sean wins his games.
Isn't that what makes him a good player?
No, pure luck. But I am going to go with Sean. I like the 4 Giants. I just don't think they're as scary as they seem on paper. They're going to be avoided or chaffed up pretty easily. And at the end of the day, you are going against the best in the region 2 years running.
Yep.
As long as there's no hills or surge shenanigans, this will be a fun game.
No hills. Yeah. Why would there be hills?
You might think Tim is kidding about that, but he's absolutely right. The last time I played a game against Sean, it was a dominant scenario. We got to the last turn, and I thought, well, good game, Sean. I guess I've won. It was going into his turn. And then he was like, no, I'm going to do this right here. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I didn't win after all. So he is the master at pulling out things late. But
and you know who has stories just like that? Everyone who plays him.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that is exactly right. But you know what he's never faced? He has never faced 4 Giants. And I think three Giants, Sean would win. But that 4th Giant, I'm serious here. I'm going with Chris in the major upset.
Come on, Chris. Do it.
This is happening.
Get it in.
And it's happening right there with 4 Giants. I mean, that's a lot of Giants. A lot of Giants. Giant spam for.
You got Giants as chaff, man. I mean,
Clash of Kings.
Yeah, you want to be able to take a Giant next year after that list.
No.
All right. Table 10. So this will be good. Lamar Eddings and William. I might say this wrong. Tim, is it Ginn?
Yeah, I think so. Don't add Will.
Will. So it's Will. So I'll let Mike talk about Will. I'll let Tim talk about Will, and I'll let Mike talk about Lamar. So I'm going to pull Will's list up, and I'll tell you the slight change to it once we go through. This is an interesting list to me that Will is rocking here. 4 hordes of Berserker Braves, 1 with Potion of Strength. You know where this is going right now if you're playing at home. 1 with Potion of Strength, 1 with Brew of Sharpness, 1 with Potion of the Caterpillar, and 1 with the Brew of Haste. He has Gorka Mock's Finest Braves. That's a 5th horde of Braves. He has 3 Warlocks, all with Drain Life, 1 with Banner of Griffin, 1 with Loot of Insatiable Darkness. He has Namagarok. He has 3 troops of Red Goblin Scouts and the Red Goblin Bigot mounted with the diadem. All right, Tim, what do you think of Will's list?
This list, to understand this list, you have to understand what it started out as was a Basilian Elohi list. And now it's an Ogre list. And I love it. The Drain Life, you got... what is that? 16 drain life plus the potential for another 15. So, yeah, these units are low defense. They're going to take a lot of wounds. But he's just going to roll up, drain something, and heal them right back up. So he really extends their life. Plus that lightning bolt early on to take out some threats. I think it's a solid list, and I think it's going to do pretty well.
All right. And Mike, here's Lamar. He was running Rocks and Brocks before Rocks and Brocks was a thing. And so here he is with 2 hordes of Ironclads, 1 with Hand of Force, 1 with Brew of Strength, 3 hordes of Rocks, 3 hordes of Earth Elementals, 2 regiments of Brocks, 1 with Caterpillar and 1 with Blessing of the God, 2 Flame Belchers, 1 Army Standard Bearer with the Diadem, 1 Berserker Lord on a mount with the Blade of Beast Slayer, as we do. 2 Stone Priest, both with Bane Chant and 1 with the Grimoire, and 1 Naked Warsmith. So what do you think about Lamar's Rock and Brock list?
So I think might have been round table 2, very similar situation where the double Stone Priest with only 3 hordes of elementals. I think the other one only had 2 or something like that, but it's a heavy commitment for the Stone Priest. Those things add up in price with things that could go elsewhere. I'm never a fan of Warsmiths or any of the like engineer characters that buff war machines. There's the halfling one's okay, but here it's like just for 85 points, just take another flame belcher. I don't get why you would. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little partial, but the rest of it's fantastic. I mean, it's got all the other things it needs. Ironclad, I like the items he's taking. They seem to work with the list. Earth Elementals, I mean, what's not to say about them? Rock Riders obviously are what they are. So it's got most of the tools. I think the character setup could be optimized a little bit, but you might be onto something that I'm not. And maybe that Warsmith has another role with his shooting attacks or something like that. I don't know. But good list. I mean, dwarves. I mean, I play with Alex Chavez all the time, obviously, so I know dwarves are always going to be a threat.
All right. And so, Mike, who do you think's winning, dwarves or berserkers?
Honestly, I think the dwarves are going to take it here. The Soul Drain's cute, but there's just not enough punch to get through 3 hordes of elementals and the Ironclad and the Brock Riders. I mean, that's what Brocks and Rocks do so well, right? It's they have high defense and good nerve, and low defense and better nerve, and CS1 stuff, Pierce 1 stuff, like that's the
What they're
like the worst matchup for it, you know. So I'm going with the Dwarf Army or Lamar.
Tim, what do you think?
I'm going to split this one. I'm going to go with Will, and I think knowing the 2 players is what's going to drive this. Lamar's a good player, solid, but he's nice, and he knows Will is new. So he's going to chat him up. They're going to have a good time, and then all of a sudden he's going to get beat by a new guy because Will, while he may be new to Kings of War, isn't new to war gaming. He was a pretty good fantasy player, so he'll be cutthroat and he'll take advantage of that. And I think he can lightning bolt some of the threats early on, like the Brock, take a Brock unit out, or start whittling down on the Earth Elementals. And that Soul Drain, it will jump out at you if you're not careful. It will get you, even on high defense stuff.
I see what he's doing. I like what he's doing. I think there's a lot of thought has gone into that list. I just think Soul Drain's a little harder to pull off than what people might think. I fooled around with it a little bit. It really. I think he's going to need to play that some before he really gets it down. I think Will is going to win some games. I just think Lamar is going to win this particular matchup. And I do think it's a bad matchup for Wilby. Lightning bolts and things like that to cut through some of Lamar's stuff. So I'll pick Lamar there.
And if you remember, Lamar last year won the award for killing the least amount of points at Siege last year.
That's true. All right. So on to table 11. Table 11 sees 2 more Southeast players, Jason Britt and Drew Gaddy. Of course, Drew is not the TO, he is the convention organizer. So he'll be distracted during the event, but he is playing. So I'll let Tim talk about Drew because he's probably played Drew, and then I'll let Mike talk about Brian. So let me start with Drew because it's on top of my sheet here. So this is the one we had a question about. We have a horde of Iron Watch rifles with the Jar of 4 Winds, a little extra range. 3 regiments of Rangers. He has 4 troops of sharpshooters, 4 regiments of Brock Riders, one of which has the Wine of Elvenkind. He has Hernius Hunter, and then he has the Hernius Hunting Party, but I can't see that he's done anything with it, so I wonder if that's a list mistake that we'll have to follow up with. Mike, what do you think? I'm sorry, that was Tim. I was going to let Tim do that one.
Drew did really well at Forge with a list similar to this, and it's the standard list he's been running all year. It's a good list. It's got the punch with the Brock Rider regiments. It's got great shooting, so you just can't necessarily sit back and let it, plink away at you. I definitely think that's probably a mistake. He probably meant to take 2 Hernius Ranger units. But yeah, I like this list. I think it's solid.
Okay. And he's up against, it looks like Mike's becoming our resident forces of nature expert. Two more hordes of ensnares. I mean, these things, I don't think I saw an ensnare unit on the table last year, and we've seen 4 or 5 already in this list. So 2 hordes of ensnares, one of which has the fog. 4 element, I'm sorry, is that 4? 1,
3 hordes of fire, 1 of air.
3 hordes of fire, 1 of air. The air has the brew of strength, a regiment of brave striders, and then this looks like 3 druids, 2 of which have Bane Chant, and the last has Bane Chant and Surge, a stag, and the Fire Heart Amulet. It's got a Forest Warden, a Pegasus, a Unicorn with the Shroud of Saint, 1 Beast of Nature kitted out as we do, and a regiment of Halfling Archers. I'm going to tell you, I need somebody who's a better player than I am to tell me what is going on here. So, Mike, what is going on there?
A lot, we'll say that. This was an interesting list. When I looked at it earlier, you know, I kind of initially was like, okay, overcommitment to druids. I don't know what the Forest Warden's doing. I don't know what the Halfling Archers are doing. We'll see later. Halflings make a large appearance as allies here soon. I don't know. Elementals are good. I mean, elementals of all shape and form are good. I think the Bane Chant's over the top, though. I think you have CS2 on 3 hordes already. 3 Bane Chants is just going to get lost in the mix. I guess it's good for the Naiads, but you already have so much CS2. It kind of relates back to when I was playing some Chaos Trolls at a tournament just to see how bad they were. And CS3 just doesn't do much for you a lot of times. So I think there's a little bit of an overcommitment there. Forest Wardens, I'm not a huge fan. I do like the Pegasus. I like the Unicorn. Beast of Nature, obviously. Halflings, I think, are cool. But it's kind of an interesting list. Somebody who knows how to pilot it probably can do better with it than I would be able to. But it's definitely got some... It's unique. I'll give it that.
And Jason is a good player, so I'm sure he has a plan. Who do you think is going to win? Dwarves or nature?
Well, we need to figure out what Drew's going on with his list. I'm assuming that he's going to have 2 regiments of Rangers that are Harnius's Rangers.
I would guess so, yeah.
Yeah, he's just got to get the points to account for it. He will have some trouble punching through the elementals, I think. But I don't think he'll have too much of a hard time. I think he can sit back. The Brocks are going to do a great job against the low attack count elementals. So I got to give it to Drew.
All right. Tim, what do you think?
List on list, I'm going with Drew. But Drew is going to let this game come down to the first roll. He's going to load up one side of the table with the objectors, or try, and then try to win the table side roll to get that side. So I think on paper, Drew's going to win it, but I think he could lose it just as easily because his opponent might end up with all the objectives.
Is that something Drew does a lot?
Yeah, that's Drew's tactic. He wants to have them all on his side. It'd be a 50-50 roll, and then he castle up on it.
That is he's a gambler by nature, huh?
Sorry, Drew, told the internet your brilliant battle strategy.
So you're picking Drew, though. Is that what I hear?
Yeah, I'm going with Drew.
All right. So the internet can go ahead, and the people on Hangouts or on the YouTube chat can go ahead and make fun of me because my reasoning is not going to be sound here. But as I said, I really don't know how the Force of Nature list works, so I assume I'm missing something, and so that means I'm going to pick that one to win.
Go with the variable.
Yeah, I that's a lot of Bane Chant. I just don't see what it's for. Like you said, I guess it's for the Naiads, but that is a lot of Bane Chant, a lot of points invested in Bane Chant.
You can say it. It's got a halfling unit. That's what drew you to it.
It does have that halfling regiment unit down there. I'm guessing that that's just going to camp on an objective and win the game. But yeah, I'm going to pick Jason's. All right, moving right along. Table 12. Almost skipped one there. Sorry, guys. So table 12 sees Brian Luttrell versus a local guy there. versus Dylan Murray. I think, did Brian just win the Forge? Was that right, Tim?
No. Jekyll Island.
Jekyll Island. All right. So Brian just won Jekyll Island. So he's on a 1 tournament winning streak.
Boom.
And he is up against Dylan from the South region. So this should be a good matchup. I'll let Tim talk about in region Brian, and we'll let Mike talk about Dylan. We'll start with Brian bringing his Force of Nature. I don't know if it's the exact list he ran, but he did run Forces of Nature at Jekyll, I believe. He has 3 hordes of salamanders, 1 with the Dwarven Ale. He has 2 winged unicorns with lightning. He has 1 unicorn with the Shroud of the Saint. He has 3 Beasts of Nature. They've all got the lightning bolt. They've all got vicious. They do not fly, however. He's got 3 regiments of tortured souls as allies, and he has the Staying Stone on 1 unit and the Chalice of Wrath on the other. I think those are both on Beast. I didn't catch where that was, so I apologize there. What do you think, Tim?
So this is a list he started playing recently. He was a Salamander player, and he is deadly with an army and has only been getting more deadly as he goes. And this being a tooled up lightning bolt list with 3 flying regiments that are just going to sit there and protect objectives or his flanks, it's solid. I really like it. I hate playing against it, but I really like it.
All right. He is up against Dylan, who is running salamanders, 4 troops of corsairs, 2 regiments of lancers, 2 ancients on rhinosaur hordes, 3 Lachilodons, 2 clan lords on fire drake. Both have wings. 1 have the boots of legislation, so you can get that 16 breath off at a full march, and the other has the blessing of the gods. What do you think of this one, Mike?
I'm a little hesitant about Corsairs. I've not seen them used too effectively. The rest of the list is fantastic. Going in with the Ancients on Rhinosaurs is great. Lycoledons are fantastic. Fire Drakes are great. He's got the Elite and Vicious one. He's got the Levitation one for the bonus breath. So it's a good balance for Salamanders, but they're still Salamanders. So that's the challenge.
We know what Mike thinks of salamanders.
I mean, I think we all know what everybody thinks of salamanders at this point. So
who you picking, Mike?
I don't know. That's just so much lightning bolt and so much meat to get through on those salamander hordes. I got to go Latrell.
All right.
So.
Tim, what do you think?
I'm doing the same. He can just castle up behind his hordes.
Yeah.
And then late in the game, move out.
We're at 2,250 points. We did not expand the time limit for the games very much past where we used to play 2,000.
Good point.
Brian is a very, very deliberate player, and that's part of the reason he's so good. He really thinks things through. I can see, my advice to Dylan, get your chess clock out. Keep him honest, and then I think he may have trouble finishing this game. I'm a little worried the fact that Dylan really doesn't have the Lachilodons. I think will go down early in the game. Beyond that, he doesn't really have any way to reach out and hit those lightning bolts. But I still think I'm going with a time limit and some heavy hitting units for Dylan, and I'm going to pick Dylan in this matchup. All right, table 13. I've already turned over there. So this one's another inter-region matchup. We have Anthony Shields, one of the aristocrats, versus Chris Gibney, the legend himself, one of the Blue City Brawlers. We'll let Tim talk Gibney. We'll let Mike talk Anthony. We will start with Anthony. Anthony is bringing his Ratkin. He won Kingslayer, didn't he, Mike?
Did he win?
No,
I
no,
don't
no.
know.
Alex won. Alex won. He was
Yeah,
best
Alex
general.
won. He was right behind though.
He was best general.
I didn't win, so I don't really pay attention to who won.
Knock it out of your brain. He has 2 regiments of tunnel slaves, 2 hordes of shock troops, 1 with sharpness and 1 with caterpillar. He has a horde of blights with the brew of strength. He has 2 brutes, 2 hordes of brutes, 2 regiments of vermintide, 2 weapons teams with the storm of lead. He has 3 warlocks, 2 with bane chant, 1 with the inspiring talisman. He has a swarm crier with the warbow, and he has a flying demon spawn. So what do you think of this list, Mike?
All right, so I know you call him Anthony. I know him as Ray. I don't know what his.
Oh, I'm sorry, that is Ray.
I don't know the full story, but yeah, he's clubmate. So he's also Canadian. I don't know why that matters, but
It does.
he is. So I'm saying it. He's a nice guy. So he's a relatively new player, but he has picked up quick on how to play. He knows how to use what he's got. He's learned the power of Ratkin, and he works it, man. I mean, if I'm afraid to play anybody locally, he is it. I mean, I hate playing against Ratkin in general, but he really knows how to use this army. Really smart player, really technical player, conservative player. And he waits for the right time to do what he needs to do. So, I mean, the list as a whole, I mean, it's got everything you need, right? You got your chaff with the slaves, you got your shock troop hordes by 2, you got your blight, you still got your shooting from the weapon team and warlocks, and then you got a demon spawn. I mean, the list is optimal as far as I'm concerned. So it's a fantastic list.
I agree. And he is facing up against Gibney's Nuns, the all-women list of Gibney. He's got 2 hordes of Elohi, 1 with Chant of Fate, 1 Blessing of the God, 1 regiment of Sisterhood Lancers with the Brew of Strength, 2 regiments of Chariots, 1 with Dwarven Ale, 1 with Caterpillar, 1 horde of Chariots with the Brew of Sharpness. He's got a abbess on a panther chariot with the griffin banner. He's got a priest with the crown. I think that's a great artifact, the new black crown. It's got the crown, Bane Chant, a horse, the Shroud of Saints. He's got 1 Elohai, and the Phoenix has the 10-point, I've forgotten his name off the top of my head, but the mind spell that lets you to try to get a nerve test on something. And that is his list. What do you think of Gibney's list, Tim? Have you played it?
No, actually, I've never played Gibney at a tournament. If you know Gibney, this is a Gibney list. The only thing that really stands out to me is why the Mind Prod spell on the Phoenix. It's got the movement, it's got damage capability already. I think that could have been better served elsewhere, maybe. I don't know. I guess it depends on how much he's had to drink this game, but I like this. It's a good list. It's a Gibney list.
All right. I don't think alcohol actually affects Gibney, so I'm not counting that into my estimation. Mike, who do you think is going to
win? Based on list alone, I got to go with Ray. He's got all the tools to deal with this. It's low defense stuff. He's got the shooting to deal with it. He's got the Tim, you got the stats on the unit strength. I think Ray's got it. And I mean, let's be honest, girls can't fight. Let's be real here.
Yeah, so. Gibney's got 18 unit strength to Anthony's 20.
Yeah.
But 20 lightning bolt and 20 breath from the rats is gonna just chew through them.
Yeah, it's gonna melt the stuff. I mean, I really like the Sisterhood army style, but Ray's a clubmate. That by default would make me choose him, but I think list to list, I'd still take Ray's list. So.
All right, Tim, did you pick Gibney a second ago? Is that what I heard?
No. I'm going with the rats.
Ray? All right.
No, Gibney he has the speed to get over to the rats. But then once he gets there, he's just going to have a slap fight with them while they shoot him to pieces.
Now, I will say this. I played Ray's list, and it is a thing of beauty. It may be the perfect Ratkin list. Has all the tools, does everything right. Ray is a tremendously talented player, so he knows what he's doing, and that is a tough list. I think Ray will do very well in this tournament. I'm going to pick top 10 for Ray right now. But in this matchup, he really doesn't know what he's up against. Gibney takes these lists. If you remember Redstone 2 years ago, Gibney showed up with like an 8-drop undead list and won that thing. So Gibney takes these kinds of lists and drinks and drinks and drinks, and the more he drinks, the more powerful he gets. Now, it's early, but
that's what I'm saying.
It's early. I just think the Chariots, this screams a Gibney victory to me. I know Ray's a great player. He beat me for sure, but I'm going with Gibney on this one. Don't let me down, Gibney. All right. 14. South region versus Southeast region. We have John Helton, who this is his return to wargaming. He was a Warhammer Fantasy player, dropped out, and has found his way back into Kings of War, versus Chris Imler, I'm going to guess, from the South region, one of the Arkansas crew. We will let Tim talk about the Southeast player and John. We'll let Mike talk about the South player and Imler. So let's hit John very quickly. John is another Salamander player. He's playing 2 hordes of primes, Bureau of Sharpness. He's playing 2 troops of warriors, 2 hordes of fire elementals, a greater fire elemental, 1 Keladon, 1 battle platform. Mike and I were talking about the battle platform before we started the show. We've got 1 mage priest with Surge and the Inspiring Talisman, 1 battle captain with the Warbow, 1 clan lord on Fire Drake with the Brew of Courage, and the Sky Lord with the Diadem of Dragonkind. All right, what do you think here, Tim?
Well, this is definitely the most diverse list we've seen from the Salamander so far. It screams to me, had a Lizard Man list in Fantasy, looked at what units you had, and made a Kings of War list.
That may not be far from the truth. I know John quite well. That may be exactly what was happening in list building here.
So that's my only concern. Like you guys were talking about earlier, why take the battle platform for 250 points? Look what you get.
It's so bad.
If you really want to use that model, ally in some dwarves, have some short lizards, and steel behemoth that's a dinosaur. But I do like that he's taking fire elementals, something not seen a lot, and the Sky Lord, another thing not seen a lot. I think the Talon Riders and the Sky Lords are probably going to pick up this year. They got a nice little boost, but yeah, it just doesn't seem optimal for the game.
All right. Well, with that in mind, let me read Imler's list. I'll say Charles, just in case I'm saying it wrong. 4 troops of crossbowmen, 1 which has the Banner of Griffin, 1 which has the Piercing area. It's the Basilian list. He has a horde of men-at-arms with a Dragon Shard shield. He has a troop of Paladin Foot Guard. He has 3 hordes of Elo High, 1 with the Brove Haste, 1 with the Potion of Caterpillar. He's got 3 Arbalists and 2 Phoenixes. And I didn't see a note for what those 10 points are. I'm guessing it's for the banner and something else that I'm not seeing. But that's the list we have.
Yeah, so it's kind of a grab bag here. Troops of crossbowmen. So we got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So he's got drops. Crossbowmen are a really good thing to drop early, I guess. I just don't know where the anvil is here. I mean, you got Alohi, which should not be taking any sort of charges. You have 1 horde of infantry to be front and center, I guess. A troop of foot guard. It's interesting list. I like the amount of shooting, I like the Phoenixes, I like the Alohi and stuff, but I feel like it's lacking a little bit of anvil power. Needs to be able to take a charge because Aloha are great. They seem really good on paper, but I think they're the classic like good on paper unit where it's like cool, you can get the charge off, but if you don't break what you're hitting, you're gonna get punished for it, and that's a lot of points to take punishment for something like that. So it's a huge commitment to Aloha. Maybe it works out in the right hands, but you make one mistake and you get punished hard for it.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen more regiments of Elohi.
Yeah,
and then had some extra points for something else.
I think regiments of Aloha go underrated. I mean, they're pricey as a regiment, I agree, but it's kind of like Tortured Souls, right? Where it's like, yeah, they seem a little under effective, but if you use them properly, they are super optimal. They're really effective. So
I mean, he could get almost 5 regiments for the cost of 3 hordes.
Yeah, it's like 4.5, right? 195, 185 maybe. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, Aloha hordes are good, but they don't win you the game. I mean, the Aloha Flowing Circus, it fizzled out quick as soon as people realize it really doesn't win you the game. So, I don't know.
All right. So who did you end up picking, Mike?
Tough one.
That was my feeling on this too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know either player, so that makes it a little tricky. I think this is a game that will really come down to the player. So it's like I got a 50-50 shot at guessing. I think that if the better player is Imler, then he wins because Aloha in the right hands against somebody who's not ready for them wins. So I'll go Imler.
You're going with Imler.
Choices.
Yep. Tim?
I'll split the needle on it. I'll go Helton.
Yeah, I'm going to go back with Imler. I think he's going to have trouble. New players, and this is John's second game of Kings of War ever he'll have here, unless he gets some Friday night. I think new players sometimes struggle with those flying hordes, and I think those. I think 3 Eli hordes against a newer player, even though he's got a lot of experience from the Warhammer times, I think that can cause some serious grief for folks. So we've reached the halfway point. I don't know if you've been following the comments. I believe if we're looking at the mockery of picks, my picks are being mocked more than your picks, but we would expect that. We do have more people here, and I know we started the show a little bit early to just make sure everything connected. I would like to talk about the 2 upcoming tournaments in the region. Of course, we've talked about Blue City Brawl earlier as the next Southeast event, but I wanted to give a chance very quickly for Mike to talk about Vanguard in Fredericksburg, the next Mid-Atlantic event, while there's a few more people online. So, Mike, you wanna go through it really quickly again?
Yeah. So I was saying earlier, I mean, Vanguard, hosted by Mike Adkins, who's a club mate and a region mate and a contributor to Masters this year. First off, from the perspective of who he is, the guy's one of the most talented painters I've ever seen in my life, and I've been doing this stuff for 18, more than that, 20 years now. And the event is being held, I'll say, at his house, but everybody needs to realize it's at like we'll call it an estate, but in layman's terms, it's at a mansion. This guy's basement is probably 1,000 square feet, 4,000 square feet. He could host a tournament of 50 in his basement alone. I mean, he's in a mansion. That's the short story. He's the best host I've ever seen in my life. We got like a beer tasting Saturday night. We got board gaming. He's got an au pair suite above his 6-car garage, separate from the house because why not, right? He's got, I don't even know how many bedrooms, but like the entire event, you might as well be at a hotel, but it's at his house, and it's going to be incredible. He's 3D printing all the terrain. He's got all the space in the world. He's got the I mean, it's going to be fantastic. It's basically Lady of the Lake of the Mid Atlantic. And then some, as far as I'm concerned. It's gonna be incredible. So, really looking forward to it. I wish it didn't fall the same weekend as Blue City Brawl, because I wish everybody could be there, because whoever's there is gonna have a good time. Last weekend we went there for like a practice tournament. It was 6 of us, and we just did the whole rigmarole at his house, and it's beautiful. All the train's beautiful. The layout's beautiful. It's going to be one of the most fun events I've ever been to, and I hope that everybody can come join, because it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome.
Sounds good. A couple people online have also noticed there's a Christmas tree behind me, and it's there are actually 2 Christmas trees in my house right now. Those suckers aren't coming down till February.
There we go.
Do you want to talk about TNT just real fast as we hit the midway point?
Yeah, so TNT May 18th, 19th, and 20th. Again, it's wrestling themed. Come out, win your chance at the championship belt, or the King of the Ring, or your tag team for best partner. It's $21.50. Be in Nashville, and if you have some gaming friends that aren't into Kings of War but want to come to a great event, there'll be $40K, $30K, War Machine, BattleTech. We're gonna have it all. It's all gonna be there.
All right. So let's get back to these lists so we can move on through. Table 15 sees a Mid-Atlantic South matchup. What are the chances of that in the first round? Where we have
there we go.
Alex versus Billy Horton. So I'll start with Alex. I'll know he's well acquainted to Mike. So Alex has his dwarves, same thing he had at Kingslayer, which, as we've said before, he won Kingslayer. He has 2 troops of Rangers. He has 3 hordes of Elementals. He has 2 regiments of Brock Riders, one with Brew of Strength, one with Haste. He has a Standard Bearer with the Loot. He has a Berserker Lord on the mount with that Beat of Beast Slayer again. He has 1 Stone Priest, that'll make Mike happy, with the Bane Chant, the Martyr's Prayer, and the Banner of the Griffith. And there they are in all their newly enhanced glory. 2, count them, 2 steel behemoths. What do you think, Mike?
I mean, all right. So first off, I could talk all day about this list and about Alex. Him and I work together, play together. I mean, we talk Kings of War infinitely. I'm really surprised not more people are bringing steel behemoths. These things are
Yes.
absolutely nasty. I mean,
Absolutely.
It's crazy. 15 breath, pierce 1. I mean, everybody's like, oh, they're slow. Yeah, they're slow. But the second they get anywhere near you, you got to go in on them, or they will melt you to pieces. So he basically took his list that has won so many events, that has made. I mean, he is the meta for dwarves as far as I'm concerned, and he fine-tuned it to this. It's basically drop the greater elementals, put in the steel behemoths. You have ranged threats. You can't back up from them because those breath weapons will punish you. 1 stone priest to optimize the 3 elementals. He knows how to use it. He knows how to use his rangers. He knows how to use his Brocks. He knows. I mean, what's there not to say about this guy? And the list. I mean, it is ideal, to say the least. It's got everything you could ever ask for. I was talking earlier about the Martyr's Prayer, which he's running on the Stone Priest. If he had 5 more points, then this list would be perfect. And that's what I was saying. Maybe if it was 20 points, it would have been a little bit better. But this list is still incredibly, incredibly good. It'll give a run for the money against every single person that touches it, hands down.
All right. I love those behemoths. They are really good now. He's up against Billy's Salamanders. So again, we have a horde of Salamander Prime. He's got a horde of Fire Elementals. This one has the Amulet of Thorns, interestingly enough. He's got 1 troops of Lancers with the Dwarven Ale. He's got 2 hordes of Ancients on Rhinosaurs with the Potion and the Brew of Haste. He has a battle platform that has a Firebolt instead of some blowpipes. He has a Mage Priest with Surge and Fireheart. He's added both the Alchemist Curse and I'm sorry, I can't remember. He's added something else to that thing. Oh, the martyr's gift to that thing. So it's got 3 spells. He has the Clan Lord on Fire Drake. He actually has 2 Clan Lords on Fire Drakes. They both fly. One of them has Fog, and one of them has Blessing of the Gods. Tim, what do you think?
I feel like it's got a good, strong center. It's, again, we're seeing a lot of common themes in the Salamander lists. The Fire Lords on Fire Drakes, they're a personal favorite of mine. But again, I think it's fallen into the trap of the Salamanders. It just doesn't have enough that does enough different things to be ready for a lot of situations. And again, 250 points sunk into a battle platform.
All right. Who you picking, Tim?
I'm going with Alex, going with Dwarves.
All right. Mike?
I mean, I think it's obvious I'm going to go with Alex. I will say, and Alex and I have talked about this, about 30 minutes ago, or I guess 2 hours ago. So one thing that this army does have is it's got a lot of CS, TC, a lot of stuff to get through, the high defense stuff that Alex is bringing. But I take Alex against anybody any day. So I'm going Alex Travis.
Yeah, I think those it's a really fine-tuned list. I'm looking for reasons to pick the Salamanders. I can't find it in this matchup. There's too much in that dwarf list. I think dwarves, maybe more than any other list, I think Clash of Kings 18 improved the dwarves, and they were already pretty good. So I'm going to have to go with Alex as well there. Sorry, Billy. Prove us wrong. Table.
Yeah, I'll say, Billy, if you win that game, I'll give you $100. I'll throw that out there right now.
All right. Somebody shots.
I'm dead serious. I will gladly do it because I mean I love Alex. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes I want to see him lose. So
I hope so.
You win that game, $100 bill in your pocket.
I hope Billy is watching this right now. I hope
You guys test. You guys can hold me to it. Trust me.
I have the Tiger. I was going to say I'll buy you a beer, but
$100.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll get in on that. I will give him 100 of Robert's dollars.
Fair enough. All right, table 16. I've been excited to go over this matchup. This is Rome, 2 Southeast players, I think both from Georgia. I don't know if they've played before or not. Rome Bruce versus Matt Prince. I'm going to let Mike talk about Rome, and we'll let Tim talk about Matt. And just for fun, I'm going to start with Rome's army. That's his internet name. We'll keep it going right now. 2 hordes of red goblins. 2 legions of ogre warriors. An ogre list. I didn't say that. One of the ogre list has the crystal pendant, and the other has he had to change it to get some points down. It now has the +1 nerve item. He has 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 hordes of shooters. 1 with the blessing of the god, 1 with chant of hate. He has the 1 standard bearer with the banner of griffin. He has the mounted red goblin bigot, and there's that red goblin blaster again. Mike, tell me about 4 hordes of shooters.
It's a fun list. I'll give him that. 2 legions of warriors is crazy. I mean, from a modeling perspective, kudos to you for having that.
Yeah.
Shooters are cool because they threaten at range, and then you get close, and they're still deadly. Everybody kind of forgets that. Yeah, 18 attacks on 4 is CS1 and brutal. Don't forget it. So definitely brings something scary. I won't lie. My list, I would be terrified of this. This would wreck me. So I give it that credit. The only thing I don't get this red goblin blaster thing. I think I'm not saying you can do a lot with 65 extra points, but just a terrible thing. It's just so bad. I don't know why people take it still, but I guess it's a flavor of the month. Well, not even flavor of the month, but just flavor, right? It's just
you could almost
have
bounce
some
over
fun.
and pull one of those goblin hordes into real goblins and take a mincer for the same amount of points, probably.
Yeah, it's but that's fine. You know, if you're having fun, I mean, this is a fun army. I'll say that it's a fun army. It's somebody that's bringing something they enjoy bringing. You know, no matter what you play this army, you're gonna have fun. You know, you got the legions, you got the hordes of shooters, you got all the fun stuff. So I like it. It's fun.
Good deal. He's up against an Abyssal Dwarf list played by Matt. And I have been corrected by some Floridians. Rome is
from Florida.
From Florida. So my apologies, Rome. I knew that, actually. But we have two troops of gargoyles, 3 hordes of obsidian goblins, one with the banner, one with the blessing of the gods, and one with the healing brew, a regiment of half-breeds, a horde of grotesques, 2 dragonfire teams, 3 heavy mortars, a half-breed champ. Then he goes into the Empire book and gets Dravik Dalkin, which is the souped-up war priest, and Infernoc, which is the special obsidian golem. So, Tim, what do you think?
I like his list. I hope it's all painted and ready to rock and roll for this weekend. Something about Matt people should know is he will have 2 games at this tournament where every mortar hits every turn. And then every other game he'll just be average. But there will be 2 games where that happens. I'm really hoping it. But yeah, it's a solid Abyssal Dwarf list.
Okay.
It's got the ranged punch to make you come to it, and then it's got the combat punch to reach out and get you.
So who do you think's winning, Tim?
I am going to go with this is a game where he's going to hit every turn with every mortar. So Matt's going to win it.
All right. How do you think of 4 short? I didn't ask you. What do you think of 4 shooters?
I feel like someone's trying to prove the game's broken.
No, not 4 shooters.
Exactly. Now, you got a lot of shooting that's going to hit hard, but if you play it right, you're going to be hitting on 6s most of the time.
That's the problem with shooters. Who do you think
Once you get around them, they can't shoot.
So the Ogre army with 4 hordes of shooters is good against a lot of matchups, but I don't think that Abyssal Dwarfs is one of them, right? So if he's shooting at gargoyles, he's wasting shots. If he's shooting at golems, it's tough to get through. The heavy mortars, I mean, if they're on point, they'll just wipe out a horde at a time, right?
Yeah.
It's easy. You know, Pierce 3, vicious, defense 5. Yeah, goodbye. You know, so and he's also rocking the special character elemental and like I don't know, that list has a lot of it's both the lists seem very matchup dependent. I think that in this matchup, the Abyssal Dwarfs are better, except when we consider the scenario. Maybe the Ogres have a chance just because they're faster and the Abyssal Dwarfs are going to be sitting back a lot more. But I don't know. But then again, the shooters are going to sit back too. So it's hard to say. I hate to say it because I do really like that Ogre army, but I think the Abyssal Dwarves win it, so I got to give it to Matt.
Yeah.
If he can start picking off a Legion and those Goblins, he's going to force those shooters to start moving, and then they're useless.
Yep, exactly. Yep, absolutely. Agreed.
Yeah. I think I've played a very similar version list of what Matt's playing right now. Matter of fact, at the Masters last year, and then I played it again at the ATC. And at the Masters, like Tim said, I was rolling lots of 5s and just rolling through that tournament. Hit ATC, and I went 3 games where I didn't hit it all.
Yep.
I think the mortars really are swingy. They can swing games to where you almost can't lose versus games where you've just put 360 points or 390 points on your back line that's not doing a darn thing. I think in this scenario, I do think it favors Rome a little bit. The dwarves don't really have a way to get out there to the shooters, so I'm going to go with Rome on this one. But I think, like you said, both those lists are very matchup dependent. I see.
If I can interrupt for a second, I think that the Encore heavy mortars need to be living legends. I think it should be a one of, because they don't win tournaments and they ruin anybody else that has a chance of winning tournaments. They're too swingy that it does not create like a friendly environment for the game.
That's why I quit playing them. I mean, there were games where I wouldn't hit it all, and there were other games where the other player just felt helpless. And
it's stupid. It's like, oh, I hit with 3 against 1 unit. Yeah, that unit's gone. Like even two will do it. 2 will do it.
1 will get you enough wounds to waver something strong.
Yeah, no, it's
2 will get you enough wounds to kill a horde of large infantry. I mean,
absolutely,
roll the 6 with vicious, you'll be killing one on a 7. So yeah, but you never know what's going to happen to those things. That's why I told Matt, if the 5s are with him, he'll have a good time. It'll be tough. Let's hit table 17. Table 17 is a South versus Southeast matchup. It sees John Corbett from another one of the Arkansas players against Mike Byram, who is kind of local to the Chattanooga area. We'll let Mike talk about John, and we'll let Tim talk about my confusion. That list did not transfer over correctly. You ready to hear it, Tim? Because you couldn't see the whole thing. I didn't realize that. My apologies.
Yeah, go ahead.
4 regiments. It's a Ratkin list. So he's got 4 regiments of warriors. He's got 3 hordes of shark troops. Some of the best. I love those shark troops. Brew of sharpness, brew of strength, brew of haste. He's got 3 weapon teams with the piercing. He's got 3 death engines. He's got 2 warlocks, one with Bane Chant, both with Bane Chant, one with Inspiring, and he's got a storm. He's got 2 swarm criers, one of which has the diadem. What do you think of that rat list?
It is the elite rat list if you're ever going to see one, and I think Mike. That's not a list Mike's used to playing as Ratkin. It's different from what he normally takes, so that might be a hindrance. But I love shock troops. They're an awesome unit. The death engines are great. The wizards are great. I think it's just going to be a very elite list.
Okay. And let me now give Mike the John Corbett list. He's playing goblins. I think it's second goblin list we've seen. He's got 2 hordes of rabble, a legion of rabble, 3 hordes of spitters. That is a lot of unit strength right there. He's got 3 war trombones, newly nerfed, of course. He's got 3 flaggots, all on flea bags. It doesn't look like anything special about him except for that. He's got 3 wizards with the amulet, and they're on mounts. And he's got 3 mincers and 3 giants. So here we go. Not 4 giants, but 3 giants. What do you think of this list?
3 is lucky number. Somebody likes the power of 3 here. I'll just say that. So, yeah, this is an interesting list. The 3 mincers and 3 giants, I think, bring something to the table. He's got a wizard with. So he's got 3 wizards with lightning bolt, and that's it. 1 has feminine amulet. That's got to be something. Do you have anything else in your stats for what else that represents? Because
nope,
a 25-point feminine.
He's missing 25 points, and he did not tell me what that 25 points was. I didn't notice that before.
That adds 2 to his lightning bolt.
Yeah.
That's probably all he's going with.
So 11 lightning bolt, 3 mincers. I mean, certainly not caring about artifacts. That's cool.
Or inspiring.
He's got 3 flaggots.
Yeah, 3 flaggots.
So,
does he? I missed that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he's got 3 flaggots. He's in for the bodies, which is cool. He's got Horde Legion, Horde. I don't know. good against certain matchups. I don't know that Ratkin is the best for it. I think that he's going to do well against a lot of armies, but I think the Ratkin list will make the best of him. But 3 giants, there's always that, you know. I love that 4 giant lists. So 3 giant lists is
right there,
right up there. Yeah, 75% is good. So mincers are cool. I'm really excited to see people running mincers. They're kind of like the dwarf. Somebody help me here.
The battle
drillers. Yeah, thank you. So I like that people are running both of those. So, but this dude loves number 3. Holy shit!
If one's good, 3's better. Who are you picking here, Mike?
I know. Yeah, I gotta take Ratkin. I just think Ratkin are better than goblins from a perspective of army lists, and the Ratkin list seems to have all the stops. So I'm going Mike.
All right, Tim.
I like Mike's list. I think he'll do well, better with this list than other ones he's had. But I'm going to go with John because I think he's got the shooting to make the Ratkin come in, but then the punch to fight back on their elite.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm going to go with John as well. I think he's got enough unit strength to kind of gum up all those elite rat units, and then that's going to be backed up with mincers and giants. And I think that'll be enough to bust through once those hordes get locked up with each other. So I'm going to go with John on that matchup as well. Let's go to table 18 as we move on through. I'm on the wrong page. Table 18. This is seeing another local Chattanooga guy, Ben Bowers, versus Mac. I'll let Mike talk Ben. I'll let Tim talk Daniel. So let's start with Ben. He's unveiling his Ratkin. I've seen some shots online as he builds this very elaborate display board. I haven't seen the whole thing yet, so I'm excited to see how it comes out. He has 2 regiments of tunnel slaves and 2 hordes of tunnel slaves. He has a horde of warriors with a pendant of retribution and a regiment of warriors. He has 2 hordes of shock troops, one with the brew and one with the potion. He's got a horde of blight with the shock troops have the brew of sharpness, +1 to hit, and the blights have the brew of strength, +1 to strength. He has 1 death engine with crushing and vicious. That does not, it's got the crushing and vicious. He's got 2 warlocks, one with Bane Chant, both with Bane Chant, 2 swarm criers, the demon spawn that flies, and he's got 30 points where he has put the Veil of Shadows on one of his warlocks. What do you think here, Mike?
I think the Veil of Shadows, they're 15 points each, so I think both warlocks have it, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, just want to make sure. The crystal pendant on warriors is a little strange to me, but otherwise, a really solid list. Double shock troops with sharpness, elite vicious. That's a terrifying unit. No matter who you are, that's a terrifying unit. He's got the blight with brew. It's great. Death engine. He's actually running it with the CS2 and vicious, which is unique. He's got the Bane Chant. This list it's very, very combat heavy Ratkin list, and I respect that. They're scary. He's got the chaff. He's got the throwaways. He's got the elite stuff. It's a solid list. I give a lot of respect to it.
All right, and he is up against Daniel's herd. The herd have a regiment of spirit walkers, a regiment of longhorns, 2 hordes of lichens, 3 troops of beast packs. There's those 2 hordes of stampede. He's got the great totem. It's been a while since I've seen that. He's got a chieftain on a chariot with the bow and the potion. He's got 2 shamans with heal, and he has the lichen alpha. What do you think, Tim?
I like it. Solid herd list. Good chaff, a couple good anvils, and then obviously speed and stampedes. What else do you need? Great totem, odd choice. Just never think to take it. You kind of throw it out there, and anything that charges it's a war machine. You know, triple its attacks. One good combat unit will get rid of it early. Definitely love the Great Chieftain on Chariot. I think that's going to be seen a lot more now. I'm definitely thinking of taking it in my lists.
All right.
So pretty good.
Who do you think's winning, Rats or Herd?
I think the Rats might eke this one out.
Oh, I didn't think you could pick against Herd, but you're going with the Rats.
I think if they can get some good chaff in on the Stampedes and hold them up, I think they've got the combat potential to fight everything else pretty solidly. It'll just be a matter of knocking off that Thunderous on the Stampedes.
All right. Mike, what do you think?
Not knowing either player here makes it a little tricky. I think that either one of them have a really good chance, but from a list building perspective, I think that the Herd player seems to have a better grasp on. Despite the Great Totem, I'm not a huge fan of Great Totem, but I understand it. At the same time, I love the Chieftain on Chariot. Double Stampede hordes are great. Beast packs are great. Double Lycan. I think honestly, when I look at it, this matchup, the double Lycan horde is what gives me the edge towards saying that I think the Herd will win. So I'm going with Daniel.
I'm going to go with Ben. I think I like. There's a lot of unit strength out there on this for this map. I'm going back to the mission here. There's a lot of unit strength out there. Yeah, I just feel pretty good about that. So I'm going to go with Ben and his Rats on that one. All right, let's go to table 19. Table 19 sees one of our host lists. So here we are on table 19. I'll flip the switch and let Tim talk about Mike's list. You can talk about Mr. Gonzalez's list, and we'll see how this goes. So we'll start with Tim talking about Mike. Mike is running a list that I really like. An elf list. Not many elves at the siege. 2 elf lists.
Yeah, I cannot believe this. Honestly, like I'm normally a dime a dozen here. So the fact that I am coming here with this, and especially the fact that my counterpart is Keith Randall, who him and I were fine around at Masters last year. We had a great game. I really enjoyed playing against him. We had a really tough matchup. So the fact that him and I are bringing elves together is really cool. So
it's going to be a nice competition for best elf player between you and Keith. Yeah, I think Clash of Kings. I think another list that really profited were the elves. I think they've got some
absolutely
very subtle boosts. I mean, obviously the chariots got better, but I think there's some other things that really just make the list work even better than it did before. So I think elves are going to be really strong in 18 as well as dwarves. So here's what Mike's bringing. He has a horde of kindred archers with the heart-seeking chant. He has a regiment of forest shambler. Get a little bit of vanguard in there. 2 hordes of Drakon riders, one of which has the potion of Caterpillar. I'm sorry. 2 hordes of those chariots, those newly improved chariots. What's the nerve on those? 1820 now? Something like?
No, it's 1680. I got the fancy PDF modifier, so I edited it. There's 1618.
1618. I knew they went up 2. I just saw it there. He got 2 dragon breaths. Nice. An army standing bearer who is mounted with the diadem. He's got an elven mage with Bane Chant, Mind Fog, and the Black Iron Crown. So +1. I almost think you have to have that with Mind Fog to get that second dice. And he's got the 2 noble war chariots. He has the Master Hunter with the Inspiring Talisman, like that. And he has a Drakon Rider Lord with the Mace of Crushing. Tim, you've probably played a very similar list to this. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't like facing it. It's got the threat range with the Drakons. It's got the shooting because it's elves, and it's very sly what you've done with the Black Crown. You know, it's going to make those elves shooting just like it was last year, very powerful. And I think this is going to be the new trend. You and Keith, we'll get to Keith in a minute. Both hit this one on the head. Nobles on war chariots, now that they're nimble, shooting 4, they're just they're going to be the new chaff. They're a great chaff unit
So good. So good.
for 90 points.
All right.
I almost wish you would have dropped the Master Hunter for another one.
Inspiring, bro. Inspiring.
Yeah, but you could have put that on one of them too and still had a great chaff.
Yeah, but if I had a chariot with inspiring, I would be too addicted to running it out there and like chaffing it up with it. So
And he's good. He's got those 3 shots with piercing.
He's been an all-star. He's been an all-star, man. Honestly, he's good. He's so good.
All right, and he's up against...
Me and Keith have run similar builds like that with the Master Hunter and then the herd equivalent. So I definitely see his use. Drake and Rider Lord, that'll be interesting to see it being used though.
Yep.
I don't see that a lot.
It's just, it's a little not quite as good as a dragon, but has some of the same effect.
Utility.
All right, and he is up against another Orlando player. Good showing from Orlando at this event. Thank you for that. We have 2 troops of tribal hunters that have bows. This is a herd list, of course. 2 hordes of guardian brutes. 1 horde of lichens with a brew of haste. 3 troops of beast packs. 2 tribal chariot units. 2 hordes of stampede. A centaur chief with the bow and the pipes of terror. Interesting there. And 2 shaman with heal. What do you think about this one, Mike?
No, I respect this list, honestly. Guardian Brutes are always good. Lichens, fantastic, as usual, especially with haste. That speed 10 Lichen is cool. I love that he's taking chariots as a regiment. I'm taking chariots as hordes, so I respect what he's doing. They already have speed 9. Their nerve gets buffed from the recent buff. Stampede nerve gets a little bit of a nerf, which is fine. I actually really like I have a lot of respect for his Centaur Chief with the Pipes of Terror. I think that's pretty legit. He comes in with 4 attacks, hitting on 3s with CS2 and TC1, like for what, 115, 130 points. He's probably putting 3, maybe 4 combat res into something. I think it's a really good list. I really do. Beast packs are always good. Lycan's always good. Guardian Brute's always good. Tribal hunters are, I think, a little underappreciated. He's got the Vanguard with he swapped them out for bows, was the proper play. For 75 points, they're going to do some work. I really like his list, honestly. At first notion, I was thinking, hell yeah, I'm playing against Herd.
Yeah.
And I was really excited, but when I looked at his list, I was like, okay, I got a real matchup here. It's going to be tough. He's got speed. He's got versatility. He's got drops. He's got all the things that present a challenge from a herd matchup. I'm really excited to play against somebody new.
Yep.
And I honestly, I don't think I've been this excited for a first round matchup in a long time. I think this is going to be a lot of fun.
I've heard he's a very good player. I haven't played against him myself, but I have heard he's a very good player. Who are you picking, Tim?
Yeah.
I'm going with Mike. I think his initial reaction was right. He got a good matchup. He's got the ability to target priority the faster units first and work his way down the speed chain with the shooting.
Mike,
who do you think is going to win?
You, Robert, you're gonna win. No, I'm just kidding. No, I gotta be, you gotta be confident, right? So I'll take myself, but not by any walk in the park. I don't know him, but I think that from what you've said, he's a good player, and I respect everybody I play against. I think every match, I never ever take a matchup lightly. I think that every army has a chance to beat me. I've only played this list for a few weeks now, so I'm certainly on the back pedal there. I'm really excited to play this list, and I think it'll go well. But I don't know. You never know. I'll choose myself, but certainly no. I'm never going to rule out any opponent. So
I would like to pick Mr. Gonzalez with the herd list. I like the list, good list. I really just don't know that Herd can beat Elves. I just think
it's a tough matchup for him. It's a very tough matchup for him.
This is the worst possible matchup for Herd. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Mike. But that is a good Herd list, and I expect it to place very, very highly in the tournament.
Yeah, no, he'll do well. He'll do well. I mean, honestly, I'm expecting a loss because I expect a loss out of every game because that's how you keep yourself humble. So,
all right, moving to table 20, we have Keith Randall. We just evoked his name versus Mid Atlantic, I believe a Masters player, and Jesse Cornwell. I'm going to let Mike talk about Keith's list. That's going to be a reversal, but I think there's some insight to be had there, and we'll let him talk about Jesse's list. So I'm going to read Keith's list first. Those who are listening may hear some interesting things, which is interesting because you all live hundreds and hundreds of miles from each other. I don't believe you've talked. I haven't seen this list on the web anywhere. I think independently you've come up with very similar lists. So you have a horde of kindred archers with a heart-seeking chant. You have a Palace Guard regiment with the Brew of Courage. You have a Forest Shambler regiment. 2 Dracon Rider hordes, one with Caterpillar, one with Sharpness. 1 horde of war chariots with the nimble elven kind. He's got 2 elven mages, 1 on a mount with Bane Chant. That one also has the Black Iron Crown, and 1 with the Inspiring Talisman on foot. 3 noble chariots, and the big dragon lord with the Brew of Haste. So some similarities, but also some very, very big differences. What do you think here?
Yeah, so Keith and I faced off last year at Masters, round 6, and I came into that game just on a high horse. I just beat George O'Connor. I was just happy to be where I was. We had a great game, but I also had a Palace Guard regiment that he had a tough time breaking through. It caused him some trouble, so I'm hoping that I might have inspired a little bit of his play. A lot of similarities, his list and mine. We both got double Dracons. We both are rocking the chariots. We're both rocking Mage with Black Iron Crown, noble war chariots. He's bringing the dragon. I cut the dragon. I'm taking the Dracon, and I'm much more in for the shooting. But I have a lot of respect for his list. I have a lot of respect for him as a player. He's a fantastic guy. He was probably my favorite matchup of Masters last year. And no matter what happens, I think that he will continue to be a huge threat to the scene. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to play what he's doing. Our lists are so similar that, how could I say anything bad, But great guy, really nice guy, and
screw that guy. Say something mean about his list.
You know what? I don't care about you at all. I care about Keith.
There are a lot of people who feel that way. As a matter of fact, I believe.
Yeah, apparently that's the thing. Take off your shirt, Tim.
All right, Tim. This is what Keith is up against. Might add 2 hordes of Siege Breakers, one of which has the Brew of Courage and one of which has the Staying Stone, like that little item there. 2 hordes of Boomers, 2 troops of Red Goblin Scouts, 2 hordes of Chariots, one of which has Caterpillar. I like the way he's crossed out that speed and made it 8. 3 Army Standard Bearers. Are there more Ogre Standard Bearers this tournament than any other unit? I'd have to go back and check. There are 3 Army Standard Bearers. One's on a chariot, and it has the banner of the Griffin, and the other 2 are just walking around on foot. He's got 1 Red Goblin Bigot on a mount with the Blade of Slashing. Only 1 Giant.
Sweaty Gigante.
Sweaty Gigante, who I've seen a picture of online.
Yeah, don't undermine Sweaty Gigante.
All right, what do you think, Tim?
This is probably one of my favorite ogre lists that I've seen. Chariots. 2 hordes of chariots. You need to say more. They're going to be coming out of the woodwork. And Siege Breakers. I love Siege Breakers.
Yeah, me too.
Obviously followed up by Boomers and then Chariots to either go out there first, or maybe he's going to hold them back and let their threat range kind of keep a nice little bubble around his troops as he moves forward. It's a solid list. It's going to punch things right in the mouth.
And who do you think is going to win?
Well, I hate to go with it, but I think Keith is going to win it for primarily the same reason I think Mike is going to win it. Has the ability to shoot out the fast units, and then has the speed to outmaneuver the slow units. And it's just going to go like that. He's going to shoot out the chariots probably first, and then use his Dracons and Dragons to get on the flanks of everything else and take them out.
Mike.
One word. Pizza Jesus. I'm sorry. I love Jesse. Jesse's one of my favorite people ever. I love Keith. I love his army because it's so close to mine, so I should probably root for him. But Jesse's my boy. I think if the dice gods are going to go with any Pizza Jesus whatsoever, they're going to go with Pizza Jesus himself, which is Jesse. And yeah, I'm going to go Jesse.
Yeah. I should start playing elves the way I talk about elves. I can't. Ogres, I just don't see those ogres. I think there's too much shooting. It'll thin them out, and then Keith's heavy hitting army will move in. It's just too much, I think, for that ogre. So I'm going to go with Keith on this one.
Yeah, it's fair.
But we'll see what happens at the table.
The big takeaway there is Mike now thinks that Jess will beat his army as well.
Oh no, absolutely. It's due at this point. So like at Kingslayer, we had a matchup. I mean, I don't table people ever, but I 20-0'd Jesse, and it was a rough day for him. There was a lot of dice rolling that went my way and all these things. So I'm due to get slaughtered by him. So yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
All right, moving on into the 20s, table 21. Andrew Atkins, South player, another Arkansas player, versus Larry Essick, a local guy there of Augusta, lots of wargaming experience. I believe Andrew has some high finishes at tournaments. I think he finished best general at Redstone a couple years ago, if nothing else. So I'll let Tim talk about Andrew, and I will let Mike talk about Larry. So Andrew is bringing more herd, lots of herd here. So this is right up Tim's alley. Andrew has a horde of Spirit Walkers, 2 hordes of Lycans, 4 troops of Beast Pack, 2 Stampedes, 1 with Dwarven Ale and 1 with Brew of Courage, 2 Brutoxes, used to like those, Tim, 2 Shaman with Heal 5, and I wrote down what the extra item is. The Banner of the Griffin is going somewhere.
Probably on a Shaman.
Yeah, probably on a Shaman. All right. So what do you think of that herd list?
And I haven't said this about the other list. This is a good time to. I'm not a fan of the werewolves in the herd list. They're fast and they're maneuverable, and they have regen, but their defense 4. They go down really easy to shooting, and they can't really take a punch in the mouth. But I do love the dual Brutoxes. I think people are going to underestimate them, and they are going to get people. They're going to catch people out because you're going to be so focused on avoiding the Lycans and the Stampedes. Those things are just going to come into one of your sides, and your day is done. But Andrew is a great player. He knows what to do. I played him at Kings of Winter here in December, and really my win came down to he knew what he had to do, and he didn't do it, and I don't think that's a mistake he's going to make a lot.
All right.
So a solid list.
He's up against Larry Essex, Dwarf Halfling, anything short. Larry's got it in his list here. So he's got a horde of Earth Elementals with Brew of Haste. He has 4, count them, 4 regiments of Brock Riders. He has a Flame Belcher. He has 2 Berserker Lords. 1 with the unmounted with that Beat of Beast Slayer again. The other with the Fog. He has a Ranger Captain with the Wings of Honey Maze. He has a single Stone Priest. And he has 4 allied hordes of Halfling Braves. That is a lot of Halfling Braves. 4 hordes of Halfling Braves. Mike, tell us what you think.
All right, so I gotta assume that the Fog is actually the regen item. Am I wrong?
I think he's going for stealth on him.
Is that real?
Wouldn't surprise me.
That's expensive for fucking adding stealth to a Berserker Lord, but I assume that was the regen, the new improved
He didn't
regen.
say it if it was. I was thinking he wanted some stealth.
That's a lot of points for stealth on an individual already, but okay. So this is relating to the whole halflings being big and allies here. I mean, 4 hordes of Braves. And Robert, you were talking earlier about the halflings I bought. Braves were the star of the game. 4 hordes for, what's that, 520 points for, what, 12 unit strength is fantastic. Stealthy defense 4. I'm not so sure about this whole 4 Brock Rider thing going on. I've seen this a couple of times recently. It's a heavy commitment. Double Berserker Lord is fine. I like that, but I don't know about Fog if that's what it really is. But Ranger Captain, I don't know that he has enough attacks to really be impactful with Wings of Honey Maze. There's a lot of things I like about this list, but there's a couple of things I question. I last year at Masters, I played against somebody that had 4 regiments of Brock Riders, and it's, if you use them right, fine, but you better be prepared to use them right.
Yeah, I think I played that same list last year. Who do you think is going to win?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think that the dwarves have enough of an answer to the Stampedes. Honestly, the Stampedes are gonna dictate how things go. Brutoxes are great. Shamans with heal. I mean, heal 5 is great with Inspire. Yeah, I'm gonna go Andrew's list.
Tim?
So.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Andrew also. The dwarves don't have any shooting, so they can't take out the chaff.
Yep.
So the Brock regiments are gonna get chaffed up, and then they're gonna get hit by werewolves, stampedes, or the brutoxes. And then what's he left with? 4 halfling horde
Exactly
units?
what he's left with. That is exactly right. This is the year of the halfling. I'm calling it right now, the year of the halfling 2018. I'm going with my boy Larry here. Those halflings are going to get in the way of those stampedes and let the Brocks just come rolling right through. I'll go with Larry. 2 halfling lists I've chosen to win. All right. Moving to table 22, we've got 2 Southeast longtime players, and Rick Parrish, another Orlando guy, versus Jeff O'Neill. Jeff O'Neill, I think, was 3rd in the region this year, maybe. Had a lot of success late, maybe won 2 GTs right there at the end of the year with these Goblins. So I will let Tim talk about the Goblins and Mike talk about Rick's list. Let me start with Jeff. I think he's made, yeah, he's shown. I think this is an interesting list. I think this is something that you're going to see a lot of. I'm interested to hear what both Mike and Tim think about it. Jeff really pushing the envelope on shooting. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 regiments of Goblin Spitters and 3 hordes of Goblin Spitters, one of which has the fire oil. By my count, that is 120 shots. He has 3 war trombones, newly nerfed. He has 3 big rock throwers. He has a flagot on a flea bag with the holy hand grenades. He has 1, 2, 3 wizards. 2, all 3 are mounted. 2 have Alchemist's Curse. 1 has the Circle of Blood, so Blood Boil. The Alchemist's Curse one has the Fire Amulet. One of the Alchemist's Curse has the Fire Amulet. Then, what do we have? Halflings. 3 regiments of Halflings. That's 30 more shots just in case the first 120 didn't get the job done. He's got a Howitzer just in case the first 3 rock throwers didn't get the job done. He's got a Wizard on a horse with Alchemist's Curse, and he's got a Sorcerer on a horse with Alchemist's Curse, bringing us to 4 Alchemist's Curse and a Blood Boil. Tim, how you feel about this?
Let's break it down. He's got 150 shots, 30 breath, 24 alchemist curse, basically 5 rocks because of the hand grenade, 9 lightning bolt, 6 fireball, 7 wind blast, and a blood boil.
You seem to take great glee in reading that.
What?
You seem to have a lot of fun reading that.
Yeah, I did, because that's what's going to wreck people's days. I think this is a great all-comers list. I think he's got all the tools he needs to handle most armies. And I'm going to put my money. I wouldn't be surprised to see this list finish top 3 at the tournament.
Out of curiosity, Mike, what do you think of this list?
Oh, man. So I think we talked about it for a second earlier. On paper, it's a list that struggles against high defense, and then you see the Alchemist Curse, and it's like, oh, nope, no, they're good. It's and this has been historic. I mean, he's a great player, right? I mean, he's always been a threat. He's brought things that know how to threaten everything, and it is a bring all comers list. It's fantastic. And
he is a 40K champion from way back. And one thing you learn at 40K is target prioritization. What do you bring down first? And I think that's where he's at. But let me give you the herd list that has to come up against this. With Rick, he has a regiment of tribal warriors with a crystal pendant of retribution. He's got a troop of harpies, 2 lichen hordes with the blade of slashing, one of which has a blade of slashing, 3 troops of beast pack, 2 hordes of the newly improved giant eagles, one with brew of haste, and there's that fog again, so one with fog, 2 stampedes, one with the blessing of the gods, one with the chant of hate, and there's those 2 healing shamans back again in the herd list. What do you think of this one, Mike?
A little bit of everything. Despite the buffs, I think giant eagles are still terrible. I'm sorry, they're just It's a lot of points for something that just the nerve is just too low. It really is just too low. Fury is cute and all, but like defense 4, hitting on 4s. I just can't get behind the giant eagles. I think those are wasted points. That's a lot of points for something that I don't think really does its work. Lycans are great. Double hordes of Lycans. Tribal warriors are they're good, but I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of Crystal Pendant either. So there's a couple things I don't like, but there's a few things I do like too. Double Lycans, double Stampede, obviously double Shaman. So it's kind of a grab bag. So I don't know. We'll see.
Mike?
What's that?
Who wins the game?
I don't know. I'm sorry, but Jeff O'Neill's Goblin Army is just that's just brutal matchup. I don't care who you are. That's a tough matchup. So I'm going Jeff.
Tim?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Jeff. I mean, besides the 2 elf lists, this goblin list is the bane of all the herd lists. So this was just a horrible matchup.
That's a terrible matchup for
absolutely.
It really is. There are scenarios in which Jeff's army is beatable. This is not one of those scenarios. This is a scenario where you really don't want to see a list like this, and the herd just don't have any comeback. So I'd like to pick Rick here. I just can't see it happening. He does have a saying. I don't think I said that, but I would say for Rick to win, he has to have really good objective placement and then get the right side to where he can spend most of the game hiding and then sneak out and contest and steal a couple objectives. Well, this might be one where you play Drew's strategy and try to get them all on the same side and hope you can win the roll.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's what I was going to say. Is if he's super aggressive about his placement and just hopes for the best, then he very well could have a almost easy win, I will say. But like that's a brutal matchup.
If you lose the roll,
that's a really brutal matchup.
Lose the roll, you just hide everything the best you can and try to take the minimum loss. Anyway, table 23. I do have a note here. So table 23. This is Southeast on Southeast. War Cow versus Son of Vulcan. Dean Cook versus Ryan Johnson.
Dane Cook.
What? Cook, yeah.
Oh, wait, Dane, not Dane.
Not Dane Cook. I made the same mistake. I thought we had a celebrity in our midst.
hardly a celebrity. He kind of, yeah.
It's a celebrity.
Yeah, more than only as much as you and I.
We'll let Ryan talk about. I'm going to say about Mike talk about Ryan, and we'll let Tim talk about Dean. So Ryan is running Abyssals. He has a horde of lower Abyssals. He's exchanged the defense for the extra crushing strength. He has 2 troops of succubi and 2 regiments of succubi. That's a lot of succubi. He has a horde of Molochs with a chant of hate, 2 troops of hellhounds, an Efreet with a heart-seeking chant that has also added the Veil of Shadows to that Efreet. He's got an Abyssal Temptress with Bane chant. He's rocking Basuzu. Here's another
yes,
Empire.
nice.
He's got Baal, the Bane of Mortal Kingdoms, and he's taken the Fire Legion formation. So what do you think of that Abyssal list there?
I have to look at what the formation does here. So you get Vicious for... Okay, that's pretty good. So the first thing I want to say is that the Efreet with the Veil is fantastic. I think anybody that's running the Efreets should be taking the Veil because Efreets are good at close range, and Abyssals especially take a lot of pain from shooting. So you take the Veil early on, and as soon as they get close, you do the breath weapon. I think that's fantastic. Succubi are great. I love the lower Abyssals dropping a defense for the CS1. That's great. The regen. Mike Adkins, Vanguard host, he does that too, and it's God, it's messed me up so many times. Succubi are great. My biggest concern is I think Molochs still are the worst unit in all of Kings of War. I'm sorry, but 15-18 at defense 4 just doesn't do it for me. Fury's cute and all, but you get 1 round to do something that doesn't cut it. There's Lord Baal is awesome though. I really think that brings this list back into some sort of competitiveness. I love that he's his size is great, his threat is great. He's got all the rules. He's got that auto disorder, everything within 6 inches. I think it's great. So for this tournament, the fact that you can take that kind of thing and somebody actually took it, that is a great character. So this list it's an interesting mix.
Yeah, I like it. It's an interesting list for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's another Goblin list to talk about, Tim. He has a Rabble Legion with the Hammer of Measured Force. He has 3 Spitter Hordes and 4 Spitter Regiments. He has a Troll Horde, 3 War Trombones, 3 Fleabag Sniff Regiments, a Sharp Stick Thrower, 2 Big Rock Throwers, and an Allied Axe Horde for his 2250. How you feeling?
This was the Goblin list I was thinking about earlier that does not have Inspiring.
Yep.
Am I right?
Not
So,
yeah.
Why bother, right?
Yeah, you got all of it. Just let it.
It's all chaff, right? Like literally everything is chaff. You know, that's the trade-off.
But other than that, I mean, it's your standard Goblin list. It's meant to shoot you and breath you. I think he'll miss at least having 1 Goblin Wizard with Blood Boil for all that shooting. Because why not at that point? But other than that, it's just a solid Goblin list with a little punch added in.
Who do you think's winning, Tim?
I'm gonna go with Sons of Vulcan. I think the Abyssals are gonna win it.
All right, Mike, who do you think's winning?
All right, so Dean's got 32 unit strength, which is cool, but I don't know. I think this Abyssal list has enough of the mix to route it. So I'm going Ryan.
I mean, I feel like that's a lot of shooting, but it's almost like not enough shooting. I feel like he needs to take a look at Jeff's list if he wants to do this shooting business. That said, Abyssals can be vulnerable to firepower. So I'm going to think on this scenario that Dean Dean pulls this off and gets enough shots into some of those softer units. Although we'll see if the stealth makes up for it. All right, let's hit table 24 as we move to the end. We have Southeast Mid-Atlantic matchup again. We have Chris James from the Southeast from Florida versus Sean Moore from the Mid-Atlantic. So I'm a little bit behind. Let me get that list up. Don't have any notes on either of these, unfortunately. So we'll let Mike talk about the Mid-Atlantic list and Tim talk about the Southeast list. I don't know if either of you have played these particular opponents, but here we go, keeping the back end of the table's theme of more goblins. So Tim, third time to talk about goblins. Should be getting good at it. Chris is running 2 hordes of rabble, a horde of spitters, 2 hordes of trolls, one of which has a dwarven ale, 3 regiments of maul beast, 3 war trombones, 3 rock throwers. There's a flagger with a hand grenade again. 3 whizzes, 2 of which have weakness, and 1 of which has inspiring banner. He's got Magua, he's got the Magwans, and he's got 3 mincers, and he is missing 45 points there. I apologize, I didn't get that note written down what that was, so that is my apology. I bet there's some spells on those wizards if I was betting, but what do you think?
It reminds me of Cody's list, I believe. Very similar. Went with the Maw Beast and Magua and the Mincers. It's a good goblin list. Doesn't really commit to shooting. Has a bit more punch. But it's got all the war machines you'd expect. So I guess his theory on it is people are going to get to me, so I'm going to shoot the crap out of them with this type of shooting and then have some punch for them. Whereas like Jeff's list is just I'm going to shoot the crap out of everything and not worry about what gets to me.
All right. Let me hit his opponent here. Sean from the Mid-Atlantic. Where's he from, Mike?
Richmond, just outside of Richmond.
That's right.
Good dude.
So he's got a horde of iron, because it's a dwarf list, horde of ironclads. He's got some mastiffs there with the healing.
Oh, he loves the mastiffs.
Yeah.
He loves the mastiffs.
I think the abyssal dwarf ones are a little better, but those are cool too. He's also got the healing brew in that unit. He has 2 troops of iron guard, so we can get 2 more mastiffs in there. He's dropped the defense to get the crushing strength. He's added the blade of slashing to one of them. 2 troops of rangers, an earth elemental horde, 2 regiments of Brock riders, 1 with caterpillar and 1 with brew of strength. He's got the army standard bearer running around with the loot of darkness. He's got that berserker lord with the blade of blue slayer.
Default.
Yep.
Which I need to interrupt you for a second, okay?
Sure.
Because this is a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, where Alex Chavez, as many of you know, I told him, I was like, yo, take Blade the Beast Slayer on that fucking dude. And that is now the thing. And I'm taking full credit for it.
You absolutely should. It is a great unit. It will mess some things up, especially.
It's so good. It's so fucking good.
If you pay attention to it, you're putting a lot of points into an individual. If you don't, it will wreck your world.
So good.
Wings of Honey Maze King, Stone Peck Priest with Bane Chant and Banner of the Griffin, a Battle Driller, and a Steel Behemoth. And he's a little short because he's got points to make up for the banner and the loot being more expensive now. So what do you think of the dwarf list?
Sean's a good dude. He's a young guy. He's like a swim coach. He's new to the game. He didn't come from the game we shall not mention. But he's an up and learning guy. He's I'll consider him one of our proteges. Really good player. He's learning to bring all the tricks. He's got a lot of things right. He's got the double ranger troops. He's got the elementals. He got the double Brocks. I remember a day where we had a little like get together, and he's like, "Oh, Brocks are good." And he went and bought like 2 regiments, and ever since then, he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna run those every time." So he's learned the ways. I'm still not sold on the king with Honey Maze. it's cute, but those are the kinds of things that were good before the unit strength thing came out, and so
Who you picking?
What's that?
Listen, who you picking?
I'll take Sean because he's my boy. So,
all right, Chris. I'm sorry, Tim. Who do you think?
I'm going to go with the dwarfs. I think the dwarfs have this one.
I'm going to go with Chris. I like the Goblin list. I think there's some nice tools there, and I like that matchup for Chris. All right, let's hit table 25. I'm running behind on my Clash of Kings updates. We'll hope there's none in here. This is Southeast versus South. We have Casey Miller versus Jamie Ward. Casey from another Arkansas guy. Got a nice crowd from Arkansas. And we got Jamie. Arkansas, I'm sorry. And Jamie from Orlando. So they may have the Arkansas-Orlando matchup may have happened multiple times. Tim, let me give you Casey's list.
All right.
He's got a horde of revenants with the giant rats and the brew of sharpness. He's got 3 mummy regiments, blade of slashing on 1, mace of crushing on 1, healing brew on 1. He has a soul reaver cavalry unit with caterpillar, 3 balefire catapults, and a lich king, bane chant, lightning bolt on a horse, heal, dark lord's onyx rings. That guy can do everything. He's got Morgoth with the regeneration, which I'm assuming is on the revenants, and he's got a horde of those flying barrow wights. So, barrow wights. So, what do you think of that, Tim?
It's a solid undead list. Good strong center with the mummies. The Soul Reaver Cav are always a win. The Balefire catapults, though, are one of those things. I mean, there's a reason you don't see them a lot. Again, if they're hitting, they're great, but just if they're average, they're not going to do much for you through the whole game. And then a lot of points in those 2 characters, Lich King and Morgoth together. I think that's a bit redundant. Maybe go with a combat character since you're going with Morgoth.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see the Burrow Whites, see how they do.
Yeah, they're pretty solid. That's a lot of points in that Lich King. Mike, he's up against the only King's Men list. We were talking about Kingdoms of Men and how there are a lot of different pieces to all the 4. One thing I love about this list, I will, even though we're a little bit over time, I will stop and he's got all his regiments named. So I appreciate that.
I was going to reference that. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's fantastic. But he's got
especially the troop of militia.
Yeah, he has a horde of foot guard and a regiment of foot guard. He has a regiment spear phalanx. He's got the Rusty Nipple, which is a militia mob.
Yeah, that's the one I was going to reference.
He's got a horde of crossbowmen. He's got a horde of bussiers. He's got a regiment of knights. He's got a troop of mounted knights. He's got 2 cannons. He's got 3 siege artillery. He has the armory standard bearer named Otto with the flying hammer. 3 wizards that are replacing their fireballs for lightning bolts, and a beast of war with a ballistae on it. And there's obviously something I bet there's some spells on those wizards that I don't have because I've fallen behind.
Yeah, where's your email at, bro?
I gotta pick up the pace here. But what do you think?
He's got 80 points wrapped up in other things that we don't know. But
let me see what's happening.
I love I love that he is.
He has Chalice of Fury on the foot guard,
militia mob troop as Rusty Nipple. Like
and all 3 wizards have
how can you go wrong, So, this is a list that I think that if somebody is a talented player that it's got a jack of all trades thing going on, So, if you play it right, then you're gonna win. 3 wizards is a little risky because their wizards are not that great. You're swapping out for fireball.
He's also got He's got Alchemist Coast on those. I don't know if you heard that, Mike.
Yeah, no, I got it. But it's a tough matchup. Very tough matchup.
Who do you think's going to win?
I hate to say it, but Undead are just a tough matchup for that list. So I'm going to go with Casey.
All right. Tim, what you think?
Yeah, I was going Undead also. I think he's going to rely too much on the artillery doing some work on one of those Undead units to swing the game for him. But once they get there, this army's not going to hold up against him. So Undead it is.
I like Alchemist Curse here in this matchup. I don't know how the Sturman Griffin, whatever that is, obviously something awesome in German, how it is going to lose. So I'm going to pick Jamie there because once you give people names, I think they will perform better on the table. It's kind of like Pizza Jesus theory. All right, next to last table, table 26. We get
my scene right here.
Yeah, we get an aristocrat versus a laughing corpse. So battle of two of the top clubs. Jacob Mallet versus Michael Adkins. I caught back up. They've got some minor point changes for things like the Griffin, but no major changes with the items. So I'll let Mike talk. Mike, and I'll let people talk about their club mates in this one. So we'll start with Mike Adkins. Another one of these Abyssal players who are rocking, working through that nerf. He's got 2 troops of gargoyles, a horde of lower Abyssals where he's dropped the defense to get that extra strength, a regiment of tortured souls, and 2 hordes of tortured souls. One of the hordes has Blessing the Gods, and one has Brew of Haste. A regiment of horsemen with Potion of the Caterpillar, 1 troop of Hellhounds, 1 Harbinger with the Loot, 2 Efreet. I like that. Archfiend.
Absolutely.
With wings and a lightning bolt and the blade of slashing. And there's my friend Basuzu and all his glory. What do you think, Mike?
All right, so here's the thing. Is this guy literally is friends with who's the Facebook who owns Facebook?
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, no, I'm putting in your place. So he literally is friends with that guy. Mike Atkins is one of the smartest people I've ever known. His army is brilliant, and his army is also the most beautiful army I've ever seen in my life. And it whatever he faces, it's a tough matchup, and he's the host of Vanguard, and it's going to be brilliant and beautiful. So
get yourself there.
He's good. Whatever it is, I support what he does.
Well, here's what he's up against. I'm going to let Tim talk about his clubmate, Varangar, the only Varangar list, I believe, in the tournament, unless I'm forgetting something. 2 hordes of Fallen, newly nerfed Fallen with the Brew of Strength. 3 Thunderwolves troops. 2 regiments of the Mounted Sons. They both got Corgan. I made sure he knew those had changed. One has the Caterpillar. 2 Horse Raider troops. A Chieftain on a mount. He's got the Gift of Corgan, and he also has the Mace of Crushing. 1 King on Chimera with a Chant of Hate, and a Scald on a mount with the Loot. Tell me about it, Tim.
Yeah, he came to the Vanguard party just a little too late. Still a solid list. I mean, it's got a lot of punch. The nerf to Fallen definitely didn't make them not effective, just made them a little more competitive for other people to play against them. Some little weaknesses in the army, but I can definitely see their uses, like the Tundra Wolves and the Horse Raiders. But not being able to take herd allies to take beast packs instead of Tundra Wolves, I can see why you went with those. But other than that, it's that solid net list of Fallen and Mounted Sons. It's a good Vanguard list.
I know Mike has already picked Mike, so I'm going to go ahead and write that down. Who are you picking?
I'm gonna go with Jacob.
No, you're fucking up, bro. You're fucking up.
I'm going to go with Mike.
Probably did.
I think that flying abyssal list really hurts those Varangar, so I'm going to go with Mike as well. And then we'll move to our final table. This is a good one to save for last. These are two good players, David McCumbers from the southeast.
Oh God, this is a tough one for me.
Yeah, he won Gladiator
because I love Shannon. Seriously, like last year at Masters, Shannon and I talked a lot.
Yeah,
and I love talking to Shannon.
Shannon is a cool guy. Dave is too.
I love that guy. I've never been so inspired to like somebody so much, but I love Shannon Shoemaker. I really do. I don't know what it was, but like he came and talked to me a lot, and I don't know what it was that made him come talk to me, but like I really like Shannon.
Yeah.
I really like him. He's such a good dude.
There's no doubt about it.
I hope this is all leading up to you not picking Shannon.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh no, it's definitely leading up to me not picking Shannon because he's gonna lose. Like
set it up before we even read the list.
Yeah, no, this list is like one of the most brutal lists I've ever fucking.
So
oh man.
So David, of course, Shannon is one of the top players in the Midwest. He's always competitive. Maybe did he win Lady Lake or was second Lady Lake last year? Really good show.
And whatever Shannon does, I love it. I love that man.
So we're gonna
I love him.
I feel like we have to let Mike talk about Shannon's list now.
Yeah.
And talk about David.
I got him.
So we're going to start with. Let's start with David's list. So here you go, Tim. He has 2 troops. He's Twilight Kin, the only Twilight Kin player. 2 troops of shadows, 2 troops of gargoyles, 2 troops,
and only 6 hordes of things.
2 troops. You're giving it away. 2 troops of Herald of Woe, and then here we go. 2, 4, 5 hordes of the newly improved chariots, 2 dragon breaths, and that Lord on Black Dragon. No magic items because that would take away from the ability to take more chariots. What do you think here, Tim?
I think you could have dropped some shadows and thrown a couple items into the list. Take another gargoyle instead. But the fact of the matter is, had he showed up to more events with this list, he probably would have made a good showing to be on the team for the Masters.
Oh, yeah.
Someone who also comes from 40K.
Yep.
He knows his target prioritization, and he turns those chariot hordes dead center to what needs to die, and then right down the line from one thing to the next. It is a solid list. Definitely seen the evolution of the list from the first ones he's run, but the heart of it is still there.
Yep.
A dragon standing behind a bunch of chariots.
And he was running chariots before chariots were cool. And
he was.
Shannon with his Mongols are coming up with the historical list of the Southeast ruled last year that individual units can claim objectives. And so I think Shannon only runs his Mongols down here, but that's okay. He has a general on a horse with a massive warhammer. He has 2 heroes, one with a Damascus steel blade. They're both mounted. He has a musician on a horse with a longbow. 2 regiments of Mongol horse archers, 1 regiment of Mongol lancers that ambushes. He has 3 regiments of skirmish lancers with 1 with shock troops and 1 with claymore. And he has 2 Chinese rockets. He has Genghis Khan. He has a horde of huge warriors that are fleet of foot and a horde of abominations with Weapon Master. Tell us what you think of Mongols.
All right, so I've thought this for a long time, and I've always felt that I'm sorry that I expect him to lose, but I love Shannon, and but he's gonna lose. I'm sorry, that's the worst matchup possible. That's just it.
It is a bad matchup.
It's so bad. It's so fucking.
What do you think, Tim?
I think he's going to lose. I'm going to go with David.
I mean, I would love to support Shannon anytime, anywhere, but it's the worst matchup possible.
Shannon is my teammate at the Blue City Brawl. He and I are rocking out there together.
You'll do fine. You'll do fine.
I think he will find a way to pull this off. I don't know.
No, absolutely. He's. I mean, this is like a. No, he'll be fine. He'll be okay.
I don't know exactly how or how that will happen, but I imagine we'll be hiding and then rushing late out to the objectives. We'll see how that goes, but I'm going to pick those Mongols against that very good list played by a very good player in the name of David McCumbers. And so that is 27 tables. We were only about 30 minutes behind schedule.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts about the tournament, Mike?
No, it's gonna be. No, it's gonna be. It'll be legit. We'll be good.
All right, Tim. Any closing thoughts for you?
Can't wait to get there and win Best Undead.
That's good. I appreciate both of you being here with me. I think people are excited about hearing the list, and I appreciate you putting your time into this. I'll buy you both a beer at Robbie's Sports Bar on Saturday night. I think we've got some cool things cooked up for this weekend. I hope everyone comes out and has a good time. I appreciate anyone who listened to all of this. I'm going to hit the stop broadcast button now and hope, as everyone has told me, that this is just going to automatically save. So if not, I guess we can all weep. But here goes. Good night. See you Saturday.